Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:32. And that comes our other board member. Let him get up here. Board Member Vargas, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Oh,
Gotta lead us.
okay. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Thank you for that. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. President Joey Acuña Jr.,
Here.
Vice President Jocelyn Vargas,
Here.
Clerk Silvia Paz, Trinidad Arredondo,
Present.
Adonis Galarza Toledo, Valerie Garcia, Jesus Gonzalez. Student Trustee Jennifer Sarabia.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to item 2.1, recognitions. Recognition of CVUSD Spelling Bee winner and alternate. You want to go ahead and get us going?
Good evening, Board President, board members, cabinet, and attendees, both here in person and at home. It is a very exciting moment to recognize our Spelling Bee champion and our Spelling Bee runner-up. The winning word this year was affiliate, and Alexa from Toro Canyon Middle School spelled it with ease. This is her second year representing our district at the next level. So she and Elisha will be going to RCOE later on this month. Elisha for moral support, but we're going to have Alexa competing with students from districts across the county. So we're very excited to have them move on to that level. So first, I would like to take a moment and congratulate Elisha Torosio. He is our runner-up. Let's give him a round of applause. Elisha is a student at Westside Elementary. So congratulations, if I can have you come up. Stand right here next to the, right here. Stand right there. And our Spelling Bee champion for 2024 for the second year in a row, Alexia Magaña, now at Toro Canyon Middle School, last year at Saul Martinez. Congratulations, Alexa. We know you'll do well. And I'd like to invite you to come and take a picture with our winner and our runner-up. Thank you.
Right. Our next group, item 2.2, Assistant Superintendent McLeod, recognition of the Riverside County 2024 Educators of the Year at Coachella Valley Unified School District.
Good
it away.
evening, Board President Acuna, board members, Dr. Valentino, Executive Cabinet, student trustee, parents, students, and staff. It is my honor to present to you this year's Riverside County Educators of the Year. There are 7 categories in this for the educators. There are 7 categories and 3 Teachers of the Year. We are pleased that we have our District Educators of the Year. They were selected by their peers for the outstanding achievements, and none of these will be strangers to you. You will recognize them. First of all, I want to bring up here our Certificated Administrator of the Year, Mr. Robert Nichols, Director of Special Education. And second, I would like to bring up our Classified Administrator of the Year, Ms. B. Gonzalez, Director of Expanded Learning. Next, I would like to recognize our Principal of the Year, Ms. Socorro Sanchez, Coachella Valley High School. And our Counselor of the Year, Araceli de la Torre, also at Coachella Valley High School. Next, I would like to bring up our Site Support of the Year, Margarita Martinez, Administrative Specialist for Valle del Sol. And our Confidential Employee of the Year, Ms. Lupita Medina, Human Resources Administrative Assistant. All right, next we have our Classified Employee of the Year, Jose Peña, Custodian Maintenance at Valley View. And now for our Teachers of the Year, Ms. Mirna Cerrato, Elementary Teacher at Saul Martinez. Congratulations. Our Middle School Teacher of the Year, Ms. Catherine Ackerman at Bobby Duke. Last but not least, our High School Teacher of the Year, Ms. Renee Miletic, West Shores High School. All right, and if I can get everyone to come down here and take a picture with them.
Okay. Let them give them a moment to clear out a little bit. Okay, we're going to go ahead and continue on with the meeting. Next up, closed session, public comments. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the governing board regarding any closed session item within the board's subject matter jurisdiction. Please complete a request to address the governing board form and hand it to the recording secretary. The online forms submitted electronically will be read. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes per person with a maximum of 20 minutes to each subject matter. I understand we have some written comments. We'll go ahead and
Yes, sir.
start with those.
You ready? Natalia Lopez, student, CV High School student. Good evening, Coachella Valley Unified School Board. My name is Natalia Lopez and I am an 11th grade student at CV High School. I am the vice president of the Young Women Empowerment, a peer youth advocate, and an active student in the Health Academy. As a student who wants to pursue a career in the health sciences, this issue has become a major concern to me as a student learning about the health risks due to the lack of menstrual products. Menstrual equity is a crucial public health concern as it affects our students who are mostly from the low-income communities. Lack of access to menstrual products can lead to serious medical issues, including infections and reproductive health problems. Students not having access to period products may face embarrassment, stigma, and limits their ability to participate in school activities and even sports. Sometimes many students have to go home due to bloodstained clothes or the embarrassment and shame of getting a period in a restroom where they are forced to use toilet paper or anything else because they don't have a pad or tampon available. Menstrual equity is all about ensuring that everyone has equal access to menstrual products at all times and at all places at school. It's about breaking down barriers like social, cultural, and economic factors that can prevent people from getting the products they need and the education they deserve. By investing in menstrual dispensers fully stocked in every restroom, you can make a real difference in the health and well-being of our students without requiring a huge amount of money. We have been asking for this for the last school year, and the solution is long overdue. I urge you to come up with a plan to fully implement the Menstrual Equity Act in all schools in our district. Periods don't wait and they keep coming back. So know that this issue will not go away. Act now and stop the period problem. Julian Castrejon from the Young Women Empowerment Club. My name is Julian Castrejon, CV High School Class of 23, co-founder of the Period Action Campaign and current first year at UC Berkeley. During the 2022-23 school year, our Period Action team at CV High School undertook a comprehensive investigation utilizing quantitative research methods to identify and address barriers hindering menstrual equity on our campus. Our study involved surveying 405 students spanning grades 9 through 12. 40% of students disclosed having missed school days due to unavailability of menstrual products. 80% reported instances of being either denied access to or rushed while attempting to change in restroom facilities that lead to an involuntary extension of product wear. 80% of the students admitted to prolonging the use of their menstrual products during school hours due to the lack of readily available resources. 90% of students found themselves without any menstrual products during urgent situations that necessitated an immediate change. While our studies were centered at CV High, our lived experiences unequivocally affirm the adversity that permeates the eastern Coachella Valley like wildfire. It is important to devote your unwavering attention to the well-being of our youth, fostering an environment where vulnerability is embraced and seek their trust. Sustainable action is long overdue. Ensuring full implementation of menstrual product dispensers in at least 50% of the girls' restrooms and in at least one of the boys' restrooms across your high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools. Furthermore, the success of this initiative relies on the assurance of sustainable restocks that guarantee students have continuous and accessible support throughout the entirety of the 8-hour school day. Carla de Leon, CV High School student. Good evening, members of the board. I am Carla de Leon, a proud alumni of CV High School from the class of 2023, and currently a first-year undergraduate at Brown University. Reflecting on my time at CV High School, I am compelled to share my experience as a co-founder of the Period Action Campaign within the Young Women's Empowerment Club. Our initiative was born out of the deep concern that all well-being of our peers, and we dedicated ourselves to addressing the critical issue of menstrual equity. Through educational presentations and a meticulously crafted survey, we uncovered gut-wrenching stories of students facing challenges due to the lack of access to menstrual products. Instances where students had to miss school due to not being able to afford menstrual products or having to endure shame from teachers for taking too long in the restroom. These stories unveiled a crisis that demanded urgent attention. The emotional weight of the testimonials and the Period Action Campaign received overwhelming support from students, demonstrating a shared commitment to rectifying this pervasive issue. However, I must express my disappointment in the lagging support from the district. The battle for accessible menstrual products persists, and I find myself advocating for this cause despite the physical distance. For the holistic well-being of CVUSD students, I urge the board to take decisive steps towards ensuring the consistent implementation of menstrual products across all campuses. The success of our campaign hinges on the administration's unwavering commitment to guaranteeing accessibility to menstrual products for every student with the CVUSD. Let us collectively strive to create an educational environment where no student faces impediments to their education due to a lack of access to basic necessities. Carissa Carrera, CVTA regarding layoffs. Good evening. As a school board, you claim to be in favor of transparency and the social emotional well-being of staff. Knowing that, I have to question the resolution to lay off 71 educators. I understand that it is legal and necessary process, and I know that by ending 2 programs, there is a need to create vacancies for the displaced teachers. That is not the issue. The issue is the lack of transparency by not showing that you are actually approving to lay off 120 educators. I'm sure that will be discussed in closed session, but it will not be disclosed to the public, the community, and your staff. As for the well-being of that staff, there are 49 of them who have no idea that on Friday they will receive a RIF notice. Last board meeting, you approved a resolution to skip staff who are qualified to teach dual language, special education, and TK. These teachers believe that they are being skipped and have no idea that they will receive a RIF notice on Friday. I am unclear as to how someone can be RIFed and skipped at the same time. I am unclear as to what is gained by not disclosing this information in tonight's agenda. What I am clear on, though, is that lack of transparency together with dishonesty causes low morale and distrust amongst your staff. I believe it is possible that lawyers working on this resolution became aware of the mistakes I am claiming have been made on their lists and decided to also give layoff notices to those being skipped, just in case. Palm Springs and Desert Sands are both hiring for next year. I hope that these 120 educators don't decide to seek employment elsewhere just in case. Thank you. Carissa Carrera, regarding transparency. Good evening. Yes,
Sorry, she's already spoken on one topic. It's the same topic, is it not?
it's different.
She's talking about
Modified job
transparency.
duties.
It's the same issue.
Modified job duties, okay. Do you want me to read it, or?
You want to get? All right, go ahead,
Yeah.
let her read it, but again,
Okay, hold on.
go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. We should all be able to agree that asking staff to modify job duties to benefit your friends and family is not something school board trustees should do. We should also be able to agree that nepotism has no place in a school district. Unfortunately, with the agenda item regarding the job description for Director of Community Schools, that is exactly what is happening. Board President Joey Acuña told me directly that he has friends and family interested in the position, but they weren't qualified. That was when the job description for director in CVUSD included more than a high school graduation. Clearly stated in the description for this item is the fact that there were no qualified applicants. Instead of expanding the search or reposting the position, CVUSD has decided to lower the expectations for candidates. And this won't be the first time. I have to wonder why this change was made. I suppose it could be a coincidence, what I was told. It is interesting that CVUSD School Board believes that directors and bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, credentials, and/or doctorate degrees should have the same level of responsibility and pay as someone with a high school diploma. Don't get me wrong, attaining a high school diploma is an excellent thing which should be celebrated and acknowledged. But the fact is that in normal society, if you want a career in upper management paying more than $150,000, you have to do the work to become qualified for the positions, unless you know someone on the CVUSD school board. I think. Another one, Carissa Carrera, regarding agenda item 14.12.
Which one?
14.12?
That's open session item, isn't it?
Yes,
Okay, so that's for the open session.
for late, okay.
Huh? No, that should be written, read during the open session, public comments, correct?
Okay.
Okay. Any more?
That was it.
Okay, thank you. We have 4 here in person. So we're going to go ahead and start with Paula Renteria. Is she here? There she is.
She's coming, uh-huh.
Go ahead.
Hola, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Paula Rentería, soy estudiante del nivel 11 de Coachella Valley High School. Soy parte del Club Empoderamiento de Mujeres Jóvenes. Nuevamente vengo a hablar sobre la importancia de tener productos menstruales en las escuelas. Me tomé el tiempo de leer su declaración para la candidatura. Veo que es un defensor de la atención médica. Creo que lo que nosotros estamos pidiendo también está relacionado con la salud menstrual. Crear conciencia en un espacio de igualdad, que no podemos durar todo el día con solo una toalla sanitaria. Si no hacemos un cambio, ¿qué es lo que va a pasar? ¿Hasta cuándo nos van a tomar en cuenta? ¿Hasta que suframos infecciones internas o externas? ¿O en casos más graves, tener el síndrome de shock tóxico? ¿Quiere ayudar a los residentes? Entonces ayúdenos a nosotros. Creo que quiere mejorar las escuelas públicas y con esto nos hará un cambio, con poner productos menstruales en los baños de las escuelas. ¿O por qué no nos quiere ayudar? ¿Qué más falta para tener una respuesta de su parte? ¿O simplemente cree que es un gasto innecesario? Mejor dígame usted, ¿cómo nos puede ayudar? ¿Cómo puede hacer un cambio? Nosotros solo buscamos que nos ayude con nuestro derecho a la salud, para que se cumpla dentro del instituto, ya que el derecho incluye toallas sanitarias y tampones como productos de primera necesidad. El Estado debe asumir la donación de productos menstruales, ya que es una cuestión de higiene. La falta de productos disponibles pueden provocar situaciones que impactan a las mujeres tanto físicamente como mentalmente. Las escuelas deberían ofrecer productos gratuitos, ya que no todos los estudiantes tienen acceso a toallas o tampones, porque no pueden pagarlos y además tienen más probabilidades de perder tiempo de aprendizaje en el aula que otros alumnos. Y no somos los únicos que quieren que tengamos un cambio, porque junto con 3 estados y Washington exigen que las escuelas tengan productos menstruales gratuitos disponibles para los estudiantes. Y aunque la menstruación es algo normal y natural, nos siguen haciendo creer que es algo de lo que deberíamos sentirnos avergonzadas, cuando no es así. Deberíamos hablar de esto como hablamos de cualquier otro tema, pero lo que pasa, y no solo aquí, sino es que en todo el país, es que hay tanta falta de información. Si quiere hacer un cambio, escúchenos a nosotros, que somos el futuro de este país y queremos un mejor instituto. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Next, we have Miliani Rodriguez. Did I say that correctly? No? Okay. Chloe Lowell.
Hello, my name is Chloe Lowell, and I'm an organizer with Planned Parenthood Action Fund of the Pacific Southwest. I'm just here to quickly say thank you so much for giving the students a chance to formally present. It's been nothing short of inspiring to watch the Young Women's Empowerment Club stand up for the dignity, health, and rights of their community, and you'll see all their hard work on display later. They've poured hours into collecting over 5,000 menstrual products, spread the word of how to access them, and have continuously pushed for the successful implementation of the Menstrual Equity for All Act, and we really look forward to working with you all to see this through. So thank you for your time, and we'll be here during the presentation later.
Thank you. And last but not least, Perla Panabler, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Board. Thank you again for having us here. I know we have a presentation coming up, so I just wanted to give you guys a big thank you for hearing us out, Dr. Esparza for reaching out. We know we're working on the plan. We're just hoping that, it does get done a lot more faster. We were looking at what's been done so far. There's still room for improvement. We'd like to see some of the other guidelines implemented. And during the presentation, we'll go over that. I received an email from Victor, and it was kind of exciting news to hear that we have, I think, 50 dispensers that have arrived. So that's exciting news. It's definitely, exciting news to hear from months of work that we have done. Unfortunately, we're still not where we'd like to be, but we will be sharing some more data on that. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Is that it? Mari, is that it? That's it? Okay. Moving on, may I have a motion to enter into closed session? I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We will be back at 7:30. Thank you.
Following action in closed session, approve expulsion case, pound, how do you say that hashtag? 23-24 -007 for stipulated expulsion. The motion was made by Mr. Arredondo, seconded by Mr. Adonis Galarza, and the motion carried 7-0. The board took also the following action: approved expulsion case number 23-24-008 for stipulated expulsion. Motion made by Board Member Arredondo, seconded by Board Member Galarza, and the motion carried 7-0. That was it.
All right, thank you. Moving on, item 4.3, approval of agenda is submitted. Do I hear a motion? I have a motion. Do I hear a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. I'm sorry, Trustee Sarabia? Aye. That's unanimous. Sorry about that.
How many are we now?
Huh?
How many are we? How many are we now?
How many are we? We're
Yeah,
6.
5.
She's 7.
Is he back?
Oh,
we're
7. Sorry.
5 out of 7?
That motion carried 5-0, and the trustee. Sorry.
Okay.
Again, okay. It's all right, it's all right. Next item on the agenda, public comments, open session, board member notification, or request to address the board. We have 2, I believe, we have 2
Two
written
submitted
ones.
electronically, right?
Yes, go ahead.
First one, Carissa Carrera, subject agenda item 1412. Good evening. I ask that before you approve B. Gonzalez agenda item 1412, you seek answers to the following 5 questions. How many contracts are being amended? How many contracts do you expect to add? Who are the people being employed with these contracts? How is it justified to spend an additional $600,000 in 4 months? Why isn't any of this information included in the presentation? There have been concerns in the past from several of the school board members regarding a lack of transparency in the expanded learning program. You have asked these questions before. $600,000 is a lot of money to be spent on an unknown quantity of unknown people in just 4 months. The expanded learning program is amazing and our students love it, no doubt, but there is no information included to how much will go to each contracted employee. 6,000 extra to 100 people, 6,000 extra to 10 people. That's quite a difference. I hope you agree and will seek transparency on the item. A concerned teacher. Good afternoon. I wanted to share a story with you today to create a change in an area within our district that is often overlooked. Last week, I had a student in my classroom share how her weekend was. She looked distracted, so I decided to take some time and talk to her about what was bothering her. She shared with me that she was concerned with her current health as her parents and doctors have discussed her new normal with her. She has been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. As she shared this information with me, her tears began rolling down her face, and she continued to share how scared she was about the fact that she had to prick her fingers to check her blood sugar. The current mandated minutes for physical education are 100 minutes for our elementary students. In contrast, the CDC recommends at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity per week to prevent diabetes. I'll admit that we cannot magically add extra minutes to our instructional day, but we can think outside the box. We could start by changing the way our VAPA program works, as there has yet to be a clear goal with VAPA, nor is there a way to track growth within the program. Why not hire PE teachers or change VAPA to include physical education? Yes, finding PE teachers will be challenging. Why not offer them a hiring stipend as well? Why not contract with outside entities like the Desert Recreational District to offer our students structured recess and lunch recess activities? We need to ensure we are doing all we can to support students' health during school, as many of our students don't have access to structures, sports outside of school. These are just a few ideas. We can all work together to improve our students' health and create positive change within our community. I am sure there are many more stories like the one I shared today. Thank you for your time. That's all.
That's all? Okay. Do we have any written communications? No? Okay, moving on. Trustee Sarave, you have the floor.
Thank you. So for Coachella Valley Young Empowerment and Empowerment CVHS GLI chapter participated in the health fair. The members provided a table educating the students on menstrual health risk related to the lack of access to period products. The students provided a Kahoot quiz where students demonstrated their knowledge learned based on the information on the display board. Fentanyl Town Hall event hosted by the CV Health Academy along with Hogs. They've put together a beautiful and factual presentation on the dangers fentanyl can have and making students more aware of how they could deal with people who have taken more than they should, along with what to be aware of. DDP was happy to host British producers and directors Richard Belfield and Barry Tomes. Both professionals had a workshop with DDP students and presented them with the 48-hour challenge that will be presented on March 7th. For West Shores, on March 22nd from 5 to 8 p.m., West Shores will be hosting a spring fling event welcoming everyone to the campus to enjoy food and admire vehicles brought by TWS. ASB has diligently prepared for this occasion with many concession stands and activities for families to enjoy. At 7 p.m. on the same day, there will be a showdown between the junior and senior classes, both teams having practiced rigorously, particularly the seniors who are determined to redeem themselves after their defeat in volley puff. Cheerleading teams are being formed by both sides with practices beginning next week. The Sinachli program is a women's empowerment group. They have different group meetings where they learn and discuss various topics. These topics include learning about and preventing STDs, and they have district nurses come to advise them and provide information on how they could feel safe and how to stay safe. The program provides a safe space for everyone to share their feelings. Additionally, they volunteer their time at TV where they help children with various activities such as painting. On February 20, the soccer team had a field trip but faced a time delay due to a bus driver calling in sick and no other bus being sent in their place. This also caused issues on the way back. At Desert Mirage High School, counselors have been registering incoming students from TC and continue to help students applying for College of the Desert for the following 2 weeks. Families are being aided with the completion of FAFSA. ASB completed a very successful Disney-themed pep rally this past Friday with the most school spirit this school year. They await this Friday's senior trip to Disney with great excitement. All academies participated in a regional advisory on February 21st at the Ritz-Carlton, where input from business partners was given to each academy and students. Cosmetology is having students styling their peers with learning differences sped for the prom, as well as the prom fashion show. Permission slips will be collected. At La Familia, ASB rode in the Date Festival Parade, had Spirit Week, and are looking forward to FNL visits in March. La Familia boys and girls soccer have been having a great season. Girls have been fighting hard and boys are undefeated so far. La Familia parent License Cynthia Sanchez organized the first La Familia paint night on March 1st. Participants painted colorful rocks to be placed on the campus as a splash of color. Yes.
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee Galarza?
Thank you, President Acuña. It's been a really good week. We attended Coral Mountain Read With Me. We're able to read with the students and engage with the students. It's always nice to a reminder of why we do this work, right? So, and I will be visiting the North Shore Read With Me later on this month as well at Saul Martinez. So thank you all for those invitations, and I look forward to joining you all. Thank you all for all your work, and have a good weekend.
Thank you. Trustee Garcia?
Yes, unfortunately, I was under the weather for the read with you last Friday, but I did send family and was happy to hear that the students were so engaged. My sister read to my son's class, and the little ones were very engaged with the stories. So it went really well, and all the programming that I could see from afar was beautiful. So it was excellent to see the engagement that our students had with our Dr. Seuss reading. What I want to address is the RIF notice that I'm aware is on the agenda. Although I recognize that redistributing our educators is necessary due to the end of the one-time monies, I can only imagine what the impact is going to be with receiving the RIF notice. I ask you to please trust the process, reach out for representation, and see the process through. We value your input in our learning communities, and we hope that you stay with us. The way the process is laid out is going to be a little bit confusing, but please see the process through. There is a place for many of you, and we're having to redistribute due to those one-time monies. So please, please stay with us, stay with our students who you have such a huge impact on. So that's my ask, please. That's my report.
Trustee Arredondo.
Thank you all for being here. First of all, I'd like to say that many of us got to go to CABE, which is the California Association for Bilingual Education, and had an awesome time connecting with parents, connecting with staff, and some of the programs that are being offered. And I hope that our school district goes towards focusing on bilingual education, as we know that when students know more than one language, they are that much more successful in whatever they do. So I also like to thank Mr. Budai, who was honored by the One Future. Mr. Budai, I've known him since I was in 7th grade. So he know him very well. Thank you for all the work you do, Mr. Budai. You continue to do for across our valley and even in our school. I know you love science. So thank you for everything you do for KidWin and everything. I got to do the read with me as well. I got to go to Valley View Elementary School, and I'd like to thank the staff there and the students who were awesome. I got to read to a special ed class, and the special ed students were really awesome. They were really engaging, but thank you for our staff who work with our students every day. I went to a 6th grade class that told me that they wanted new chairs and new desks. And they also told me that they wanted a new basketball court, they want tennis courts, and they want, basically their fields redone. So, we go to Valley View. I told them I would say this on the dais because once they learned that, we're elected by their parents, they said, well, we want you to say this, or, come election time, we're going to tell our parents not to vote for you. But, we're really, really engaged with those students, and the students know what they want. So I can appreciate that. I can appreciate students that want to see their campus be better. So thank you for that. I just want to say thank you to our staff who are working on the track at CV High School. I got to go see that, and I know that it's coming along very, very beautifully. And they are working on the drainage system, I was told. So I'm hoping that the field will not flood every time there's a rain day or a rainy day or anything like that. So I'm very excited about the new track at CV High School. And I know Desert Mirage is also going to be worked on. So that's awesome. There's also a Zen garden going in at CV High School that I got to see kind of getting started. And I want to say that that's awesome. Anytime students can go to a place where they can meditate and just take the time to breathe is just great. I do want to say that next board meeting, I would not be here because I would be in Nashville with the CTE on a site visit. So I try to have perfect attendance as a board member because I take my job very, very seriously. But I apologize in advance as I will not be here for the meeting. And with that, thank you. Thank you for the students being here today. We look forward to your presentation. That's it.
Thank you. Board Member Paz?
Welcome, everyone, and I have no comment. Thank you.
Vice President Vargas?
I'll be brief. I also joined GAVE. It was really great. It really inspired me. Kind of a good opportunity to, as a reminder of like, maybe not a reminder, but I feel like sometimes, it's hard to be in the day-to-day. I work at a college, and so sometimes it is hard to get through the days. And so it was really good to hear and be inspired from different educators. And so I, really appreciate being able to spend the time with my colleagues and just being in among staff and spent the week. I appreciate the public comment that was shared today, really taking that into account as we kind of go through the process of, looking at our budget and our staffing. And so I just want to, appreciate the public comment that was shared. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. A couple of quick stuff for me. Number one, I want to again congratulate our spelling bee winner 2 times in a row. Great job. And then our runner-up as well. And then all of those Educator of the Years, well deserved to all the people that were recognized earlier. I also attended GAVE. I thought it was great. It was a good opportunity to just listen to what other districts are doing and how we can implement that and that. And I think the best part of that whole project is the parents. The parents got to really interact with other parents, and they share the same concerns and the same thoughts and the same hopes and aspirations for their kids. And I think they probably gained I don't want to say they gained the most out of it, but I think they were the ones that really are going to come back and make an impact when they're, when it's time for them to come back and work in their own schools with their own children. And so I really want to thank all those parents that made the trip. It's not easy sometimes getting off of work and doing all of that, but I think it was well worth it for them, and I think they did an excellent job. Also wanted to talk about a couple of other things. I mentioned to our superintendent and others about, I was going to mention about summer school. Now, I have been a very big advocate of summer school that is engaging and fun and still learning. But what happened last year in summer school, I don't believe that was the case. We had some programs that the kids were asleep on, and then when they went to go outside to do activities, they woke up, and it was not, I don't believe it was what the kids need. I have some concerns with trying to get all the academic done in the summer that they didn't get done during the school year. And that's not pointing fingers at anybody. It's just, it's not going to happen. And so, I truly believe and I hope that as we're planning summer school, I hear they're having meetings, that we're actually going to talk to students, talk to those people. I met with some of the site coordinators for the after-school programs who actually know how to engage kids and keep them coming and keep them going. I hope they take their ideas. I had one teacher tell me, "You give me the science program, those kids will learn. You turn me loose, and I'll have them engaged, and everybody will be having fun, and they'll be learning at the same time." So I really would like to hopefully make sure, give the suggestion that we work to do that, and not simply have this, drill and kill, go run around for 30 minutes, and then come back in and drill and kill, and it's obviously not working, in my opinion anyway, from what we see from the test scores and others, it's not working. So I urge everyone who's involved in that to kind of step out of what they've been doing for the last maybe few years and look at it from a different approach. Kids can learn, students can learn, and they can have fun at the same time. And so I think it's up to us, our teams, our people, to make sure that we do that. So kind of my little rant for that. The other second thing that I wanted to address is why a lot of you are here today. I appreciate you being here. I think you should come up here and kind of give us a regañada for something that we, and again, not making excuses as a board member, I'm responsible, we're all responsible, that we felt that we had taken care of 2 years ago when it came to us originally. I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm happy that you're here. I like the attitude that you're going to be listened to, you're not going to stop, that you gathered together, you got your petitions, you had your teachers come and demanded that you be heard. And so I'm very proud of all of you, and I'm willing to take my regañada like I should for what you guys are coming to. Again, there is no excuse for why we haven't done this. why we haven't been able to get all those things in the past. They're going to give me lots of whys and who's all that, blah, blah, blah. No, there was never a reason. This should have been taken care of a long time ago. I share your frustration, but I, as a board member, take full responsibility for the fact that I did not check and follow up and make sure all this stuff was getting implemented. So my apologies to all of you to actually have to come up here and kind of remind us of our duties. So, but I'm just, excited to hear what you have to say. Again, I'm of the opinion that I don't mind that people come up here and say good things about us or bad things about us, but they get out of the house and they get active and they come out and give us their point of view. I think that's something to respect, regardless if they are saying good or bad things about you. So just to let you know, I'm very proud of all of you for coming out here, sharing your voice. And yes, we here are responsible at the end of the day. So thank you for reminding us of that and reminding us of our job. Thank you. Superintendent?
Thank you, President Acuna. Just two science-related items on my report. One is, again, David Badai, one of our many rock star educators in the school district, led the regional competition this year for Kidwind. And this year, it keeps growing. This year, there were 18 elementary team divisions, 30 middle school division teams, and 25 high school teams from CVUSD, PSUSD, and PVUSD. And out of those, 7 CVUSD Kidwin teams did so well that they have been invited to nationals. So each year, more teams from CVUSD show their knowledge and understanding of science through the program, and will now be competing at nationals in Minnesota for the Kidwin World Challenge. Along with that, on March 1st and 2nd, there was the annual Riverside County Science and Engineering Fair. As a result of the participation of more than 350 students and their projects, 519 were from 18 districts in Riverside County. And so that's a lot of projects and a lot of students, yet CVUSD won 5 bronze medals and 2 silver medals and 3 community awards. So congratulations to all of the students, congratulations to Mr. Badai and the teachers who continue to support the students in developing their understanding of STEM and be able to express it in such a successful way. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Valentino. Moving on, item 7, we're going to have some informational programs, and I believe this is our high school principals are going to be doing a presentation to us. Did I miss one? No? Who's doing that? Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Esparza. Didn't have your name on it. It had the principals' names on it.
Good evening to everyone here with us and everyone watching. Board, Superintendent, and Cabinet, I just wanted to present our high school principals as they're going to go through and talk a little bit about where they were in 2023 at the beginning of the school year then, which was 22-23 compared to 23-24. And we're looking at grades right now. And we wanted to, because the board requested, we wanted to have transparency for you to see where they're at and how they're moving forward with A through G from last year to this year. With that, I will introduce Ms. Socorro Sanchez from CV High.
Good evening, Board Trustees and Executive Cabinet members. As a principal of Coachella Valley High School, I am thankful and honored for the opportunity to be here tonight and be able to share the following data. In this first slide, it outlines the A through G requirements as well as the graduation requirements. The A through G requirements were established by the University of California system, and it outlines the minimum courses students must complete to be eligible for admission to the UC and CSU schools. These must be passed with a C or better, and the courses are aligned with our graduation requirements. Both ensure that our students, as they leave CVUSD, have a well-rounded education. By meeting these standards, our students are prepared for both college and career success. There are some courses on the A through G requirements, for example, in the math, science, and world language that, as you notice, it says 3 to 4 or 2 to 3. We want to make sure that our students are taking the courses that will allow them to compete into getting to some schools. So we encourage our students to always go beyond what's required. So for example, if instead of taking just 3 years of math, we encourage them to take 4, and so on. The next slide here is entering the world of the home of the mighty Arabs. What you see here is just a quick snapshot of some of our students, including our programs. At CV, we focus on the whole child. We have the whole child approach, but we always look at qualitative and the quantitative data as we look at and refine our systems that we are implementing. We strive for academic success as we encourage our students to engage in extracurricular activities. The following data will reflect not only celebrations, but also the areas of focus and the next steps that I will be going over. In this slide, we have the percentage of students that are A through G eligible. Once again, this is overall academic performance. One of our areas of celebrations, well, we have 2, is in the history department. Our students were able to increase by 10%. Our math had an increase of 10.6%. Our area of need is our world language. Although it did show an improvement, we are at 62.8%. Some of the things that we are looking at for the following year and current year is working together alongside our district office, Dr. Gutierrez's office, in the placement exam that will be implemented at the middle schools, our dual language sequence, and continuing our interventions of support that we have. Some of these interventions include their data-informed practices. For example, we implemented what's called the collaborative study groups. This is implemented at the freshman level, but it also continues through the after-school tutoring. It's very similar to our AVID tutorials. However, these are, they don't follow the systematic approaches that AVID does, but it allows the students to work together as they help each other out with the assistance of the teacher. We also use monitoring tools, systems of evaluation throughout in departments through the help of our instructional leadership team and our weekly instructional walks that administrators do, making sure that we leave quality feedback for our teachers, and we work with them as instructional leaders in the classroom. Here is an overall GPA comparison. You'll notice that we increased from 2.41 GPA to 2.57 GPA, and it's a reflection of the previous slide I just shared. The following presentation gives everybody an overview of the courses that were completed. Once again, a comparison. You'll notice that we have a 5% decrease in Fs and a 6% increase in courses that were passed with A, Bs, and Cs. Our goal is to continue to improve, making sure that we take a deep dive into that 13% and even that 10%. That means that we continue to identify factors so that we can be able to provide and refine those systems of intervention that we have in place. Here we have the percentage of students that are on track to graduate this school year. We have a reflection of our sophomore class, our junior class, and our senior class. Celebration, the 12th graders, right, and our 11th graders. Our area of need is all 3 grade levels, all 4, but looking really at that, also the 10th graders, and making sure that that 80% for the 12th graders gets as high as possible. And there will be some slides where you'll see projections of the last 8 years and what that graduation rate looks like. Some systems in place. Once again, through our counseling department and our ILT, we have set data-informed policies that include tiered systems of support and interventions. That includes administrators are doing weekly home visits to students. And this could be wellness checks or students that are not coming to school in every grade level. We even have done home visits to students that we've noticed are not passing any classes to make sure that we are able to support the student and the family. We have set systems of communication, not just with the student, but also with the parents or guardians and with the teachers and counselors. We have our online learning platform that goes through a system of evaluation and monitoring where we can identify students that are not progressing, and that's where the counseling and the administration team comes into place and speaks to these students. Next slide. It's the slide that we just saw percentage, but this gives you numbers. So for here, once again, with the systems that I've mentioned, total number of seniors is that 455. We do have transcript analysis that our counseling and administration team continues to do on a weekly basis. We ensure that our students, as they are selecting classes and they're meeting with the counselors or any of the administration, we're looking at their academic planners. We also utilize our wellness center in every one of the slides that I've shared to make sure that our students are also receiving the support that they need through that area. Here are some comparison of our graduation rate. It's an 8-year data comparison. As you can see, our predicted rate is 87%, but we are fully confident that we'll be able to get to that 90% this year, if not higher, and to stay there. After we successfully do that, it will be the highest GP or graduation rate that we've had at Coachella Valley High School. With that, we continue with the same systems of interventions that I have mentioned, looking closely at the factors. What are the factors that are impeding the student from being successful? And making sure that we intervene appropriately. Same as the slide before, here's a comparison of our A through G rate over the last 8 years as well, with a prediction rate of a 45% at the end of this school year, which once again will make Coachella Valley High School at a higher rate than it has been. And our goal is to increase that 45% as we continue to go. By doing so, we are providing our students with opportunities and access, making sure that when they do leave Coachella Valley High School, that they are college and career ready to be able to proceed to their postgraduate plans. The next slide. It's just an overview that it takes a village. We have parents, we have our community members, from our campus security staff to our teachers, through our students, and basically it does take a village to work together. We do have the teamwork approach. I proudly want to say that this year, as you know, we have been accredited for 6 more years. The last time that this happened was in 2012. The WASC process took an in-depth look at the systems that we're setting and gave us a good plan that we were able to add to our strategic plan and to make sure that we continue rising, because that's the goal, is to make sure that our mighty Arabs rise. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Ms. Sanchez, thank you for the information. I think it's always good to show all the positive stuff that's going on. And thank you for that. I think CV is on the right track, and I'm very hopeful, right, that the staff is there. And I just want to share with you, as I share with everybody, my hope is that one day we'll have an academy for the bottom 30% of students. You know, just the other day, I was at a coffee shop. I was at Starbucks, and a student happened to turn to me and say, "Hey, you're a board member for Coachella Valley Unified School District." She said, "Well, I attend CV High School, and I'm trying to get into La Familia." high school because I'm behind credits, right? And I know that we don't have enough space at La Familia for students to go in there and recover credits. And so, great job, right? But I always advocate for the bottom 30% of students because those are the students that if we lift up, the rest of the community will be lifted as well, will be supported as well, right? So that's where I come from. So the data looks great. Thank you for the work that you're doing. I know we got a great principal there at Coachella Valley High School, and I'm hopeful. I just always want to say that I'm always going to be rooting for the guy at the bottom that needs to be inspired, that needs to be pushed and given that second, third, fourth opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Justin?
I was curious about, were our enrollments between 2023 and 24 about the same, or roughly? Do you have an idea?
I know that we do show that we are declining enrollment. I would say that between last school year and this school year, we did take factors into consideration. For example, students that went to independent studies and students that went to La Familia High School. However, even when we look at data like that, we still show that increase. So we did have, let me see if I can, we did have about 76 12th graders go join LAFA and 22 students, juniors that joined LAFA this year. However, with that, we've also had students that returned for us. Just in the last week and a half, we've had about 10 students that are coming back from Desert Sands.
And then the slide you had showing I think we had the red bars, this one, yeah. What conversations are we having in terms of strategies to get, I mean, I know I see the 44 that are not on track or need 3 or more classes to be on track. And then, progressively be the other years, like what are we doing to get them on track? Like what are some strategies, or what type of supports do we need? Is there something that we need to be considering as we're reviewing the LCAP that we need to be adjusting?
Great question. So for example, what we do every week in our counseling meeting is we have identified those 44 students. We know exactly who they are. We know the factors that are impeding them from being successful. We've had conversations not only with the student, but with the parent or guardian multiple times. For some of them, it's a combination from factors happening at home to just they feel behind, that they just don't see any hope, but we're pushing them. I know, for example, if I'm looking at the data, we have 25 students that are between 150 and 165 credits. We should be able to make sure that those 25 students, are pushed into graduation, but that includes having it's weekly, sometimes even daily check-ins with students. We admin and even our counselors are walking into our online learning classes and meeting with these students and pulling them regularly, making sure that we provide services. For example, if they need the support from one of our mentors or our wellness center teacher, but we are having conversations. We are looking at alternative methods of supporting them, as well as their content teachers getting involved. If it's an attendance issue, we're going to their homes. Every other Monday, admin is out going to home visits, or every other Wednesday. So we're out there. We have been able to bring back some seniors that hadn't been showing up the whole year by going and talking to the family. We're finding out some of the issues that were happening at home that we were unaware, and then we see the students coming back the next day. But now it's okay, now you're going to be coming every day, so now it's setting these systems in place on making sure that we have sometimes even daily check-ins. We still have a lot of work to be done, okay, that we're just moving along, but I am confident that with the support of the whole CV staff, right? And yesterday during our school-wide PD, it was very enlightening just to see that, the staff from the certificated to the classified, it's coming together, and how are we going to support our students? How are we going to work together cross-curricular to make sure that we are providing those systems of academics? For example, one of our teachers mentioned that when we went over the Lexile levels, no wonder our students aren't being able to do the homework, they can't read. And we know that that's been our issue if we look at the state's data. But now academically, how can we come together and use the best first instruction strategies? And that's what we're working on as a team.
I'll have a similar question, I think, for the other sites. And I think the last comment was maybe trying to see if there's ways to disaggregate the data a little bit more. Like, are there certain indicators or certain kind of identifiers with like the type of students that are maybe falling behind, to kind of think about those strategies or ways to address them? That's it.
Board Member Paz?
With the 87% graduation projection rate, do we know what the percentage is of college-bound students or college eligible?
College eligible for A through G, if we're looking at the CSU and UC system, that would be 45%, but we do have several students that are interested going to a community college. I don't have the exact number for you, but I know that towards the end of the year, as they're letting us know where they're going, then I can have those numbers.
So just to clarify, 45% are meeting the UC Cal State college eligibility.
Correct.
And that's 45% of the graduating class this year, 2024?
Yes, that's a predicted rate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good.
So my question with these slides specifically, where it lists CVHS versus CVUSD, it was unclear to me what the CVUSD line was. Like, I didn't understand if that was an average or where we got that figure. I was explained that it's a predicted rate, like the trajectory of the district as a whole, but it doesn't say that, and that's where it's still not clear enough for me, because it's not an average. So that was just something, and that's all of the bar graphs, not the bar graphs, the line graphs have that for every one of the schools, and I just had that question, because it is, I don't know what to do with that if I don't understand what it's against.
Yes, so if I'm correct, it's looking at the high schools within our district and then looking at where each of the high schools are at, and then putting that average into play there. And you'll see from the other schools as they present where they are, but that's our district-wide predicted rate.
Right, and so then because of that, I was confused because every single school was listed as above the average, and that didn't make sense to me. Like, how could they all be above average? Then what is the average? So that where it was unclear to me.
I see. Okay, we'll make sure that for the following time that we outline that specific, because now I understand what you're saying. Yes.
Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yes, I understand. Yes, and we'll address that as a team.
Yeah, I think one of clarification question, or one thing that doesn't make sense as well to me right now is, in a previous slide that talks about courses required for graduation and required for A through G eligibility. Most of the courses that are required for graduation match the required for A through G eligibility, but only 45% of the folks graduating are meeting A through G. So how does that kind of make sense?
So in order to explain that to me. Yes, sorry. In order to be A through G eligible or meet those requirements, students must pass those classes with a C or better. So for example, that would be they must pass their world history, their race and gender class with a C or better. For those 2 years, the English, they must pass all of their 4 years of English with a C or better. And that is, you bring up a great point because, for example, part of a counselor's role is also to be looking at that data. And if we have students that are 1, 2, or it doesn't matter how many courses away from meeting A through G, then it's giving them the opportunity and access to be able to retake those courses. This year, we at CV High School, we really pushed that. We were able to identify students that were either a course to 3 courses, and even more away from meeting their A through G. Those students were pulled in to talk. They spoke with the counselors, the parents were talked, and as an incentive, through Ms. Parati's office, we are going to be able to get them a college-ready sash. So that itself was a big motivating factors, because what we've run in the past is that students, they may not want to retake a class, but with the sash, in the student's lens, as I've talked to them and from experience, their goal is to get as many sashes as they can, right?
So,
yes.
So if I'm understanding correctly, more than 45% of the students are taking A through G, the courses, they're just not passing them with an A through C.
Well, our courses are A through G, but only 45% of our senior class is A through G ready or has met that A through G requirement.
Which means that they pass it with a C or better.
Correct, yes.
Can I just get a clarification? Because I heard you say all your courses are, so every math class is A through G, every science class offered at CV High School is A through G?
Let me retract a little bit. Our special education courses are not A through G. Our financial literacy is not A through G.
Not yet. Yeah, we got a presentation on that. So I'm just curious, and I mean, I went to school not too long ago at CV High School. And at the time, there was an earth science versus a chemistry or a physics class. So if I took the earth science, that was not, do we not have that anymore?
No.
Oh, perfect. That's great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? No. I would just ask that you introduce your team back there, because obviously, as you say, it doesn't take one of us, it takes all of us. So if you would introduce your team back there.
Yes. With me tonight is Ms. Karen Perez, who's assistant principal overseeing CTE. Mrs. Gladys Young, who oversees our campus safety office. And Dr. Virginia Mayer, who oversees our counseling department and SPED department.
All right, thank you.
Really quick, in honor of Women's History Month, I'd like to honor this team of women who are accomplishing amazing things. Great job.
Thank you.
All right. Next up.
And next we have Desert Mirage.
Thinking the same thing, yeah.
Good evening, board trustees and executive cabinet. I'm excited to share some of the data that we have from Desert Mirage High School, right? Some of the glows, but also some of the growth. We understand that we have some areas of growth, but we also want to mention some of the areas where we're actually doing really good, and we're really excited to share that with you. So some of the pictures that you see here is just different activities that we have. I know last year, this is my second year as a principal at Desert Mirage High School, and last year and this year, my focus has been school climate and academics, making sure the students are feeling welcome, making sure the students are feeling safe, to make sure that our academics actually improve. So that is, continues to be one of our goals. So for the next slide, if I get it to go. Let's see. There we go. So as you see, this is the same, not the same data, but it is the same concept. So we're looking at first semester versus second semester versus first semester last year, first semester this year. Okay, and these are the grades, A through G. So if you notice, one of our biggest areas of growth continues to be math. However, we were able to improve our grades in math. If you notice, they went from 49.9% to 64%. So that is, an increase. However, 64% is still low, right? We understand that needs to improve. But if you notice, every area, even in history, we had an increase of 12%, 14% in math, 18.5% increase in science. Okay, world language, you can see at 12%, and then all of the other areas, above 10%, all of them. So we're very proud of the work that we're doing in the classrooms and making sure that our students are passing the classes with a C or better. Okay, so that's one of the areas that, we're really working with our teachers, making sure they understand the data. It's important that I understand the data as a principal, but as well, our teachers understand how this affects our students' future, how they're part of the solution in looking at how we look at grades, how are we grading, how are we making sure the students are getting the supports they need in the classrooms. So for the next slide. I don't know if I'm not clicking this correctly, but, oh, there we go. So our overall GPA last semester was a 2.49 GPA. This year we can see 2.58. Obviously, I would like to see that at 3.0. And we know it's going to take some time, right? But we're working on it. We understand that change takes time, but I know we're looking into the right direction with that. Now, this is where I really, want to have some conversations. I want you to look at, these are the courses completed with the C, or A, B, or C. If you notice, we have last year, 63% of the students completed those courses. This year, we had 74. You see no movement in the Ds, but look at the Fs. If you look at the Fs, last year, we had 27% of our students receiving Fs in our courses, and now only 16%. We're very proud of this work because if you notice, they didn't go to a D. Our students actually went from an F all the way to either an A B, or a C. So they actually made the jump all the way to being A through G and not staying at the D. So it's good that the D actually stayed where it's at, right? But we were able to lower the Fs. So we're, really proud of this work here with our students and our teachers. And you may be asking yourselves, what is it that we mean? There's a lot of things. Based from conversations from our ILT, our leaders, right, department head, last year, we came together and we said, okay, what are the needs as we were looking at the SIPSA? What is it that we need based on our data? So we started realizing that, okay, we need systems in place for attendance. We need systems in place for supports, right? Student support services. So what we decided to do this year that we can see that is changing is we do have an attendance committee. We also have a student support committee where we're actually doing plans and meeting with the students who are not on track. We're doing home visits. We're actually calling home, getting the parents here, making sure they understand the importance of attendance, right? So we're making those changes. But I think the bigger conversation is happening with our staff, making sure they understand how grading works and how it affects our students if we're not providing them the resources that they need. So I think that's like our biggest impact. Just having those conversations, hard conversations sometimes with our teachers about grades and how are we doing that. And thankfully for me, right, that at Desert Ranch High School, we have great staff that who care about our students. We also have our wellness center, right, for students who are not feeling well, who socio-emotionally are not having a good day. They could actually go over there. We had great mentors So it's actually taking, it's a group effort. Even in SPED, right, we're seeing a decrease in student suspensions. So that means students are being in classrooms, passing their classes. So I can tell you that all of that is making a difference. Now, this is our percentage as of now of students who are on track to graduate, right? You could look at the seniors there at 79.8%, about, almost 80%. 11th grade, and then obviously you can see our 10th grade class, that's where our area of growth is. We only have 60.5% of the students right now at this semester. If we were actually looking at them as being on track, right? We still have that other, 40% that we need to work on. And it's very similar to like the different supports that CVHS has, very similar. We collaborate, 3 high schools, we're always, talking to each other, what are the things that we're doing? It is the same. The counselors going into the classrooms, making sure that we're meeting with the students, admin, we're meeting with the students, we're doing home visits, making sure that we actually had met with the seniors and created on a calendar, on a paper calendar. This is how many courses you need to pass per week so that you're able to be on track. So we are doing all of that. Okay, this is just a number, right? The other one was a percentage, and then this is just a number. But I can tell you, and I could break it down a little bit for you so you have a better idea. If we look at the 47, right, we know exactly who they are. We have 15 students who have 150 to 160. We should be able to move those 15 students, so that's gonna move our graduation rate. We also have 10 students at 105, 145 that we can still help, right? We can still push either through the end of the year or summer school. So that's going to increase our graduation as well. And we only have about 12 students who are 30 to 75 credits, and they have earned only 30 to 75. And we continue to, to work with them. We don't give up, right? We want to make sure that they continue to know that we're supporting them, that there's still a chance at summer school, right? We're still going to encourage them to continue. Now, this is just the 8 years. You can see our graduation rate, right, for the past 8 years. Our projected graduation rate is at 89. I'm projecting 90 for this year for Desert Ranch High School. We're working really hard. We're having those conversations with our teachers and making sure we continue to support our seniors, because I want to see that as a math person, I want to round, right? So I want to see that 90 this year. So we've been having conversations with our senior teachers. The outlier right there, you're probably asking yourselves, right, like that 92, and how did we go down, right? But we all know that was a year we were at the 130, the waiver. And that's why we reached 92.7%. However, everybody had a chance to get 130, and Desert Mirage High School was the highest in Riverside County at that time. So we were able to get 92.7%. And like I said, everybody had a chance to get 130, and we were higher than everybody else in Riverside County. We knew we were gonna show a drop, right? Coming from 130 and then coming back to the 220. However, this year, like I said, our projection is 90%, and I'm very confident that we're gonna get there. Now, if we look at our A through G rates as well, I'm proud to say that Desert Mirage High School has been leading the work in having the highest A through G rates. And CVUSD, if you see our percentages there, we are predicting 48% for this year, okay? That will be the highest we have ever been at Desert Mirage High School. So when I talk to our staff about celebrating the small steps that we're taking, we're breaking our own records, right? Graduation, A through G's, grades. That is how we continue to motivate our students, our staff, right? I can tell you that something that we're doing with the A through G's is this year we started a campaign where our students are coming up with posters that are saying, for example, at Desert Mirage High School, we stay above sea level, right? because we want them to know that what's allowable is a C, a B, or an A, because that's going to help us with our A through G rates. And what we're doing is our students in ASB and Renaissance, even in SPER, they're coming up with different flyers. We're putting them to a vote with our staff, and then they're going to go to the students. And those are going to be out there everywhere, because that's going to be the talk. At Desmond High School, we stay above sea level. We do not want to see the Ds, we do not want to see the Fs. Our focus is to make sure that our students are not only graduating, but they're actually being ready for college if that's the choice they want to make, right? We're not just happy with getting them to graduate. We want them to be ready to have a choice. And I mean, at the end of the day, right, it takes everyone, right? Our security, our students, our staff, to work together to really get here. Like I said, I'm really proud of the work that my team and everybody is doing. I really have a good team who works together, who are doing a lot of the preventative work to make sure our students, are getting what they need. But we understand, we still have some areas where we're gonna continue to grow, and we're being very focused this year as well in academics. So I do expect to see growth next year in the areas of ELA and math. So questions before I introduce my team?
No, go ahead and introduce yourself
So
first.
we have Mr. Mohammadi. He oversees our safety office. We also have Mr. Sandoval. I have two people overseeing the safety office, Mr. Sandoval and Mr. Mohammadi, but then Mr. Sandoval also oversees special education. And then Ms. Magaña, who oversees CTE, AVER, Puente, all of our programs. And I have one more, right, but she is now out on maternity leave, Ms. Zamorano, who oversees the counseling department. So I would take questions.
Any questions? Who wants to go first? You do? Okay, right up. Better up.
I'm actually really curious about the conversations you have with your teachers about the grading, like because I did notice on your graphs that they did really improve, and I'm really curious about what sort of conversations you're having, whether they're more either lenient or more understanding, and the percentages that they have for students. Is it because I know some teachers do have 40% of your grade is going to be a test, and then 20% is going to be assignments and stuff. And no matter how many assignments you do, it will never make up that test. So I was just really curious about the conversations you have.
And that's a great question, because I can tell you that what the conversations that we're having with our teachers is making sure that we do see the consistency across. If it's math 1, that we're grading the same way, that the percentages are staying the same way. It's conversations that we're having with history, with all of the departments. So part of it is that we're actually making sure the syllabus, when they're giving it to the students, matches, right? So that when a student moves from a teacher to another teacher, right, those percentages do match. So yes, those are the conversations that we're having with our teachers. But at the same time, I can tell you that something that is working is, you see, our students can learn. We believe that. And we believe in making sure they understand. If I see them and they're walking, and in my admin, all of them, right? We always take the opportunity whenever they come to our office for whatever reason it is. It could be because of a safety concern. It could be because of behavior. Guess what? We also look at the first thing we do, and we all do it. Okay, let me see your grades. Because now I'm going to have a conversation with you, not only about your behavior, but I'm also going to have a conversation with you about your grades, right? So it's happening not only with our teachers, but us. Every single time we get an opportunity to meet with the student, we're talking to them about their grades and making sure they understand, right, our A through Gs and how that affects, our school, our scores, how other schools view our school, right, if we don't meet the A through G. So it's really informing our students, right, so they could be proud of our school and they could be proud of themselves and the work that they're doing. So those are the conversations that are happening. You're welcome.
Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead.
I did what you did. Thank you so much. It sounds like from the ground up, it's a culture that you all have imbued with each other, and that's beautiful. So thank you for that work, because it clearly shows. So that was my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, do you have something?
I just had to say thank you, Ms. Otelo, for your work. Thank you to the team for Desert Mirage. I do want to say that 110 for the sophomores is alarming. So I just, I'm always going to look at those numbers and say, there's still a lot of work to be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you get the next one, I just want to make an announcement, and I probably should have done this before. I'm going to use the president's prerogative. I'm going to move the students' presentation up from where it's at, up after, as soon as you get done with the principal's presentation. I apologize. I probably should have just done you first. I wasn't sure it was going to last this long, but we will have you guys up next, not after the other two presentations. So you guys will be up as soon as we finish the principals.
Thank you. And now we have West Shores with Miss Olivia Mejorado, who's one of our newest high school principals.
Good evening, Board Trustees, Executive Cabinet. I am beyond excited to be here tonight to represent our West Shores team. In the next few slides, you are going to see our focus on academics and student achievement. But this is possible because of the positive culture that we have fostered through programs, through everything that we have going on campus. And you are going to see how we have a great foundation to now be able to take West Shores to the next level. So with that, I will say I am going to get through our data, and then just for the sake of time, then I will say what we are doing at West Shores so that we can, for our students and for everybody here, so that we can cut it a little bit shorter. Okay, so here we have our data, our A through G. I'm going to go through the same data that all of our other high schools did. You can see we've made a lot of growth. We have some areas of need for improvement, but then we also have a tremendous celebrations. We have our science department that grew about 12.5%. And then we have our VAPA that grew 17.5%. But look at that English. English grew 32.3%. And I am going to say that is a reflection of our staffing. We did bring on one full-time English teacher, and then we also started our virtual program where different teachers are zooming in and teaching our students. But we all also know that we have those areas of concern. We know that world language is not growing as rapidly as we would like it to grow, but then we also see that our math, right? We have had 10.2% growth, but we need to work on our math. And I know that that is one of our big focuses here at CVUSD. Those next steps is focusing on that literacy piece and that math piece for our students. Next, we have our GPA. We have not grown as much as we would like, right? We only grew 0.05% from 2.43 to 2.47, but we'll come back next year with better numbers for sure. Here we have, I call this our baseline, right? We have not made any growth. We have plateaued. We have plateaued at 72% of students obtaining above C, and then 10% with Ds and 18% with Fs. Yes, that means that 82% of our students are passing, but we would love to see that number lowered, and you will see what systems we're putting in place so that that can happen. Here we have our predicted, our students that are on track. We have a total of, and I'm going to break it down a little bit more in the next slide. 85% of our students that are on track for graduation, 75% of 11th grade, and you saw it across the board, right? With every other high school, our 10th grade class, our class of 2026, we need to focus on that. And you will see that those reflections that have happened and what we have put in place, because we see that we need to target our students early on and not just wait until they are seniors to do that work, right? And here we are, we have a breakdown in numbers. I joke, in West Shores, we are so small, every single student is a 1%, right? I see Ms. Jennifer Saravia, and I'm like, here's my 1.25%. But every single student matters, and we know the story of every single student on campus. And we are so small, and we are very fortunate to be able to know every single one of them, talk to every single one of them, have those deep conversations. And I know that with that connection that we have with our students, we are going to be able to take it to the next level. Okay, here is our predicted graduation for this year, 89%. That is the highest graduation prediction in the past 8 years. And that is all because of all the systems that we have put in place. And just to answer your question, whenever you see, yes, we're all above that 89%, but that's because we also have to factor in La Familia, right? And La Familia is what brings our average down as a district. I just wanted to point that out because I know that you had asked that question. I'm sorry, that sounded horrible, but I'm saying that because whenever you saw the graduation rate for the 3 high schools, but you didn't see the graduation rate for La Familia. I'm so sorry. I apologize to Mr. Mickelson if that sounded absolutely horrible. Okay. I'll take a step back, but what we are saying is that, but they are supporting us, right? They are supporting our high schools, and that's their piece. And with that, I can share with you, we sent out a total of 14 students to La Familia. We returned 5 of them on track for graduation. So that is supporting the 3 other high schools. Then we also we sent over 8 students. 5 of them are seniors that have that possibility to be able to graduate. So whenever we are looking at those numbers, and I'm sorry, Mr. Mickelson, for saying that, but they are one of our systems of support. They are one of one of those pieces that we offer our students to be able to progress them, to be able to graduate in the future. But also what I want to say is other things that we are doing here at West Shores. We are, and I'm sorry, it's going to take me a little bit to come back from that one. But we are doing a lot at our school. We are focusing on our above sea level students. We are focusing on making sure that our students are graduating college and career ready. We are not where we would like to be in our A through G. That's 47% predicted to be A through G eligible is not enough, right? We need to have our students prepared to open the doors and be able to do much more whenever they graduate from high school. And with that comes our wellness team, comes our college and career team, comes our work with MTSS and our teachers. Our college and career team meets every single week. We go through the data every single week, and we focus on on deep dive to see what they are doing, their credits, if their attendance, focusing on how they are doing mentally, socially and emotionally. And then that team meets together with the wellness team. They meet together with our wellness teacher, our behavior tech, and our Latino Commission therapist also. So it's a whole team approach, and we look at every single student and we say, what other supports can we offer? But then also, Jennifer, going back to your question, we are also starting those conversations with our teachers and with our teacher leaders. What are we doing for grading? Are we, these questions have come up from seeing this data. How are we grading? Are we using the same rubrics throughout? Are we using the same syllabus? Are we using the same grading practices? And those are courageous conversations that are starting to happen right now at West Shores. And and like I said, the college, the career team, the wellness team, the instructional leadership team, like everybody has said, it takes a village, right? It takes a village, and the support of our CVUSD leaders, the support of our continuation school, the support of every single person up here, our community, and that's how we're gonna make it happen. That's how we are going to push West Shores to the next level. The work has started, and everybody is so enthusiastic for what we are going to be doing next. Any questions? And again, I have to say, I'm sorry.
Please introduce your.
Absolutely. With me, I have our amazing Dr. Josh DeFeo. He is our assistant principal and my right hand at West Shores.
Does anybody have any questions? Nobody? Nope.
I just have a comment.
Nope. Go ahead.
Thank you for that information, Ms. Mejorado. Obviously, I really love La Familia, and I just didn't appreciate that comment and didn't appreciate the staff that laughed about that comment for La Familia. They're one of our high schools, they're one of our supports, and
Absolutely.
I hope that we continue to have better relationships across all our high schools.
Absolutely. And I apologize that if it came out like that. Like you said, it is one of our systems of support, and it is one of the things that we rely on for our students to continue and give them that opportunity for graduation.
All right, any more questions? Nope. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And with that, we are going to have La Familia talk a little bit about the supports that they provide our 3 high schools. Mr. Mickelson?
Good evening, board trustees and executive cabinet. Thank you for letting La Familia be part of this presentation tonight. So what I would like to talk about with our school is 2 words, growth, and actually 3 words, growth and positive change. Growth is what we've experienced between last year and this year. We went up in enrollment from 154 students to 261. Which included an addition of 5 teachers, 5 classrooms, a second special education teacher when we had one before. So we've had a lot of quantity changes. Things have gotten bigger. So we've also made some systematic changes that have contributed to our numbers that I'll talk about before I get into the data. The first thing that we did is we changed our system of our terms. We went from having 6 6-week terms to having 4 9-week quarters. What that changed was the potential just in those courses alone went from being able to earn 90 credits last year to being able to earn 120 credits in a year this year. So that has contributed to a lot more students earning more credits. And we actually made some gains in testing as well. We made a 40-point gain in language arts and a 50-point gain in math on the iReady. It's still far from being a grade level, and we have a long way to go. We know that, but we are moving in the right direction, so we're happy about that. For the first time this year, we have designated ELD classes at La Familia, which has contributed to our success. We also, for the first time this quarter, have a section of a course called College 001, which is a dual enrollment course with COD. So some of our La Familia students are getting exposure to college as well. Let me see, there's my picture up there. So, so looking at the numbers, last year, which is in January, which is our big transition time of kids going back to their home schools. Last year, we sent 14 students back to their home schools. This year, we sent 60. It's a big increase. Okay. We also have about 80 more seniors that will be graduating this year. We anticipate them to be graduating at LAFA. Our graduating class should be even, quite a bit larger than last year. We're excited about that. Students that are still a little bit behind come graduation time, we also offer summer school. And for those that are even further behind than that, we definitely talk to them about the options for, adult school or for coming back to LAFA. But we definitely try to do whatever we can to provide them options that are going to make them successful. Let's see, that was pretty much my data. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, but I know we've got people waiting for us as well. So I wanted to kind of rush through it a little bit.
Good. I was going to ask you to introduce your support staff, but obviously I don't think you have one, right? It's just you.
You know what? I have a great staff back at LAFA, and I owe them everything. So they're great.
We also,
great team.
as you grow too, I think some consideration for the board to be looking at is that obviously as you continue to grow, you're probably going to need, I don't know, an assistant principal-ish, whatever the term or the title will be. But as you continue to grow, you're going to need an extra support out there. So I think that's something the board can look at, start looking at in the future, possibly for next year. But for now, anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Paul.
Just a comment. I'm so grateful for the work that you do at La Familia. I have twin nephews that graduated last year, or 2 years ago now, because of the avenue that La Familia gave them. So I'm grateful for the work that you all do, and we know that it's important for our students. So you're appreciated, and the work that the students get there is appreciated.
Thank you so much. As Olivia mentioned too, focusing on positive school culture goes hand in hand with all of what we're doing. I have a fantastic wellness center dealing with the affective needs of kids as well. And, it's important that this be a place where people want to come to work, want to come to school, and that's what keeps us successful, I think.
Vice President Burke.
Oh, yeah, just a couple comments. I really appreciate kind of how you all presented, the data and like the painted picture of the school, because I think it is hard to compare to our other sites, right? I think the jump from 14 to 60 students going back to their, home school, I think it's great. And I feel like maybe there's some strategies for us to pick up and maybe adapt for our other schools, right? With the students that are not on track, right? Maybe try to catch them before. It could be that La Familia, the small setting, is helping those students, but maybe there's also strategies that we can learn from and apply it at our other sites. But yeah, thank you so much for your work.
Yeah, one thing that worked really well for us this past year was we were able to actually get some kids in right at the end of their sophomore year. We kind of had them designated a little bit early, and then they came to me for summer school. And, Joey, I appreciated what you said about summer school. We had a blast at summer school, and I'm hoping that we'll do it again this year. And that got them on the right track because they started earning credits, realizing that they could actually do it. And then by the time they started with us in, late August, they were flying. So it's been great.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mickelson, for your work at La Familia. You've been a real champion there. And thank you for always listening to, the students and sort of what their needs are. And I know that, overall, you've been doing a great job there at La Familia. So
thank you.
I'd like to expand a little more, but I don't think there's any room to expand anymore. But maybe get you an assistant principal. But great job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else have any questions? Something? I just wanted to make a quick comment, and I know Principal Mejorado didn't mean it the way she said it, but in essence, what she said is true. We've had this conversation before. Your numbers, take a hit all the time, but because of what you do, that's almost like your designated job, right? You're the person that comes in and do that. So I understand how maybe it didn't come out right, but I believe she did not mean it with malice or anything intent, and I know you do too. But we've had this conversation about how your numbers cannot be looked at in general like anybody else, because the support that you provide, especially bringing those kids back to their home school, actually helps the home schools go back up. And that's part of being the team. That's part of everybody working together, understanding the role. And so I think, and again, it just may be a bad wording, but one should not, be criticizing someone for saying the obvious. This is what it is. Your role is to provide a separate service, and we've had this conversation about how the numbers will never reflect that. They just won't, because it's not the way we do it. And so, but I've gone out there, visited. We need some help out there. I did mention the vice principal as we had that conversation the other day when I was out. As you're growing, you're going to need that, and you should have it. Obviously, you're almost getting as large as one of our smaller elementary schools. They have the support, you should have the support. And I think the creativeness, your summer school was a little different than the other summer schools that I spoke about, obviously. And I think, to your credit, that is the thing that, again, I made my comment about summer school. We need to let the people who kind of understand how to engage these kids and how they're going to live, we need to turn them loose and quit trying to be so academic up here that we're missing the whole point. And so you stand as a model of that, what you did last year, and I really appreciated that, and the conversation that we had the other day. And then also, we're going to get your fence painted. That's the other thing we were discussing,
Nice.
to make sure that it reflects your colors, as well as we talked about the other schools as well. And that was I think that's a big issue for you, because you are in a continuation school and there's already a stigma kind of attached to it. And then you kind of have that look about you. It's like, it's not fair. So we're going to also, we've talked about it in facilities, that we're going to go back and repaint your fences as well and make sure that that's all cleaned up as well. But thank you for the great job you're doing. Again, in general, thank you for all the presentations. Again, it reminds us that we all have to work together. It doesn't work if we all don't work together. So thank you very much, Mr. Mickelson.
Thank you. Thank you, board. Thank you for everyone that's here. As a former continuation high school principal, I know that Ms. Mejorado and the other comprehensive high school principals do see this as a drop. But now that we are working together and collaborating, they're able to send the students there in the 10th grade and in the 11th grade, and they shouldn't be holding off till the 12th grade to get them to have their 100 credits. And so we're really working with Mr. Mickelson to make sure that that happens early on. A lot of continuations don't like to take students that are in the 9th or 10th grade, but we are working on that now. And so thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, next, again, we're going to move you guys up if we're ready to have our presentation, 8.2, CV High School student presentation.
Good afternoon, guys. My name is Emiliana Rodriguez. I'm currently a sophomore in Coachella Valley High School. I've been working with my peers in Young Women Empowerment Club to achieve the full implementation of the Menstrual Equity Act for All for nearly 2 years. I got involved with the period product drive and helped students access the period products when they couldn't rely on the school. The inconsistency of the menstrual products in the restrooms is a real problem, and I've seen it not only personally, but amongst my peers, friends, and other menstruators in school. The need to fulfill these tasks shouldn't be a difficult issue, because the only thing needed is to refill the products in the restrooms, just like other basic hygiene needs, such as the soap and the toilet paper. The periods mean that they can happen at any time. So of course, when they do occur, a lot of times they don't have the menstrual products at hand and they don't have access to them. So of course, a lot of times they don't have the time to go to the nurse's office before they even stain themselves and walk around in embarrassment. And actually, because of this, we have done a survey, and for the results, 30% of the respondents have missed school due to the unreliable access to period products. Some students have dealt with anxiety of having to find menstrual products during school and having to use toilet paper, and we all know that that is very not good hygiene and could cause infections that require medical attention. The lack of period products can lead to students wearing menstrual products for longer than recommended, which can promote the production of harmful bacteria that can lead to very harmful infections, such as TSS, toxic shock syndrome, which can promote the production of the very harmful bacteria that can also be a deadly condition. I know it's rare, but it can still happen, especially if those students have extracurricular activities after school. The restrooms being locked and the dispensers and resources not available in all female restrooms and at least one male restrooms is also another issue, because we shouldn't have to walk across the entire school just to get period products, especially if that one restroom is almost always empty. The restrooms being locked and the dispensers resources not available can also lead to that kind of issue. The inadequate access of menstrual products impacts low-income students because of the lack of access to care, and the implementation of menstrual equity products can increase funding for you guys as well. So that doesn't mean that it helps us, but it can also benefit you guys as well. And this is why the AB 367 was signed into law to support the students who suffer the discomfort from not having immediate access to these products at school. And that was the intro, so I will pass it on to my peers, Julissa and Abigail, for the presentation.
Okay. Good evening, board. My name is Julissa Felix. I am a senior at Coachella Valley High School, also representative of the Young Women Empowerment Club, backed up by also my Girl Scout Gold Award. And today I am here with the club and my partner presenting on the Menstrual Equity Act for All and compliance at CVHS. Thank you.
Hello there, my name is Abigail Salazar. I'm a member of the Young Women's Empowerment Club and also a freshman representative. So before I get into the current law, I want to get a little bit into our background. So the Young Women's Empowerment Club at Coachella Valley High School was created to enhance the students' community, and that's throughout inclusive events, intimate partnerships, networking with local organizations, and skill building workshops. So for the over past 2 years, we have met with board members, district admin, and Coachella Valley High School admin. This includes our principal. And all of this was to fully implement the Menstrual Equity for All Act. Despite our efforts, we have not seen compliance. So the current law is that the Menstrual Equity for All Act, or AB 367, mandates that public schools that must stock all women's restrooms, all gender-neutral restrooms, and at least one men's restrooms with an adequate supply of free menstrual products at all times. Menstrual products is defined as both pads and tampons. This law was passed in 2021 and required that all public schools comply by the start of 2022 to 2023 school year. We are currently in our 2023 to 2024 school year, and yet we haven't seen little improvements. So this act also requires that we have clear and visible notices in the bathroom, and it displays the act. This is to inform students' rights. In the notice, it's meant to have an email and a phone number from the school personnel. And this is so that students who find that they don't have menstrual products, they can contact someone in case it needs to be stocked. So districts have flexibility in which school personnel should oversee implementation. However, it is recommended that local educational agencies begin implementation by updating and adopting relevant school board policies. The Menstrual Equity for All Handbook includes a model policy that can be adapted to Coachella Valley High School District. It is critical that the school personnel is someone who is regularly reachable by students and is able to communicate well with the janitorial staff. So currently right now at Coachella Valley High School, we find inconsistent stocking of menstrual products. And this results in students and teachers finding alternate means of accessing period products. So one of the typical period stories that many people find is they go to the bathroom, they realize they're on their period and they have none available, so they use toilet paper. And it's not about going to the health office, because by the time you're at the health office, you have a stain or you miss class time. So we also have no notices in any of the restrooms. So this leaves a few questions, which is, for the students, who do we contact to restock menstrual products? This can remove a lot of the problems of like timely management on when we should have menstrual products and when it should be restocked. Now, while that shouldn't be the only source of like, oh, well, a student contacted me, so I should refill it now. Obviously, there should still be like every Wednesdays it should be restocked and every Fridays it should be restocked. But that is a way to know how consistently it should be stocked. And it also asks the question of how will students know their rights? So as a Young Women's Empowerment Club, we've done our best to ensure that students know about the act, but we can only go so far, and the notices help inform people on what it exactly is. So right now we have dispensers only installed in 2 women's restrooms and none in the men's restrooms, which there's required to be at least 1. We have 8 restrooms at Coachella Valley High School, yet 6 of them do not have any available, and 2 of them are inconsistently stocked, with 1 of them being in the girls' restroom, and it's locked for a majority of the day. So I'm going to be passing it on to my next presenter, Jalissa, and she'll be getting on to the next slide.
Thank you, Abby. So first and foremost, why does it matter that this access is at Coachella Valley High School? First, with my survey, our survey that we conducted, I will be getting onto later on, attendance is a huge impact due to the ability that we don't have this menstrual equity. Students are most likely to miss class and just miss the whole day because it's something that is a huge issue going on in our school. And not only is it going on in our school, but period poverty is something that affects nationally and globally. And it's not only an issue that's just complaining or anything like that. It's a health issue. It's something that goes on and it is not in our control. And as well is that our students deserve that safe place. They deserve that comfort, that learning environment where they feel supported and they know that they can go to school and whatever the situation may be, they have that support there. A lot of our teachers have had to fill in for the lack of resources, and while this is very appreciated, it is not their job, and also they are having to use their own money, their own funds, and having their class time interrupted by having to give out these resources personally. As well as that, we have some pictures of the dispensers. One of the dispensers is in the girls' locker room, which is not accessible to anyone who doesn't have the class, and our other dispenser that is open to some students. We do have some evidence that of this semester that it was empty, and this is majority of the pictures that we collected as we were trying to check them at least every day, and also a picture of a restroom that doesn't have a dispenser, does not have any resources that are given to our students, and sometimes they were filled with just pads, sometimes they were just tampons. However, that does not fill in the definition of what menstrual equity is and what products should be given to our students. So going on with the quantitative research and just peer education and what it means for CVHS, we created a survey of students to gather the data and just see what our number was on campus. We spent a week going into presentations, talking to students, advocating for our campaign, why it's important, why we're here, why we're speaking about it, as well as hosting tabling events during lunch to further educate our students and any staff that was walking around. Recently, we were actually invited to our health fair, and we were to educate the students, and we had this board and we had information there, and it was honestly really cool to see that students not only were interested, but both male and females were being educated around this stigma that is very natural and something that there's like this culture built around it, and that shame of like, who do I ask, who do you know, we don't want to have that. A lot of times we don't have that support of like telling your teacher, especially having male teachers, and just we believe that no girl or woman should have to disclose that information and feel that safe, that's supported. As well as we were able to host a period product drive, which we were very happily, successfully collected over 5,000 products, which was great. And it was a huge motivator. And we went into these restrooms and we put baskets and we were restocking them, which is a huge start. But yet again, not our responsibility to be having these drives all the time and having to fill in for something. So now, speaking about our evidence for the survey, we were able to survey over 120 students at CVHS. Over 70% of respondents were period products for longer recommended because they ran out of school, which is a severe health issue. And as Abby was able, and our partner Millie, to disclose, there's huge effects that come from this as infections and huge long-term effects. 1 in 4 students have struggled to afford pants and tampons. And over 50% of respondents rarely or never find these period products. Out of over 120 students, only 6 were able to say that they fully can see this implementation being placed. And over 30% of respondents have missed school due to the unreliable access of period products, given that, again, they don't have that comfortability. It's unrealistic to say you got your period in the restroom, you're gonna run to the nurse's office to try to get supplies, because it is not something that is reliable. And as well as the supporting evidence that we have outside of our campus, according to a study by Period and ThinkX, found that 84% of students agree that period products are just as important as soap and toilet paper and restroom, because as women and anyone who menstruates, these are issues that go on and we don't know when they're coming sometimes, that therefore we need that support of having those products available for us. As well as 65% of students do not want to be in school when they have their periods, just that insecurity of feeling that they don't have that support in a space where they should be supported and they have that comfortableness. As well as period poverty is more prevalent among Black and Latinx students. Nearly half of them reported that they are not able to be their best in school because of the lack of period products, given as well as we're in the minority, being a predominantly Hispanic district. It is something that not only is it going on in our community, but research that is further being supported. So what is our call of action? What do we want? Why are we here? Well, we ask that the board's plan to ensure that CVUSD schools comply with the Menstrual Health Equity Act for all, as well as a clear public timeline of when we can expect to see our consistent menstrual products in our bathrooms. Thank you. Do you guys have any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Adonis.
More like comment. I feel good about the future, right? Thank you all for being here. Definitely something that I support, and something that we'll follow up on. I just want to commend you all for coming up here, being so organized, doing your research, speaking so eloquently. I'm impressed. I'm beyond impressed. And I did not have those organizing or those presentation skills or those advocacy skills that you all are demonstrating right now. I'm just at loss of words for the work of that your group has done tonight. Thank you.
This was so comprehensive, done so beautifully. I know that this is only a part of your team because you're a group, right? And it's been several years in the making. So thank you all for the work that you've clearly done. So passionate. Beautiful. I'm sad that it was necessary at all. I think the first time I ever heard about this type of inequity was in other countries, right? Not in the United States, not here, not with our students. So there's no need to persuade us as far as that goes. Like, we need to be in compliance, like, period. Pun not intended. But no, I mean, this, again, though, beautifully, beautifully done, ladies. Thank you so much. We need to be, we need to give you the results that you require, that you all deserve, that our student population deserves. So thank you all for this effort, though. Excellent.
Thank you.
Do you want to say something? Go ahead.
I was a bit interested in, when did this all begin, like your organization and what you've all created?
So it started back with some of our alumni, Carla and Julian, that are now at the university. And well, they were doing a period product drive for someone in our community, and I can't remember the organization, my apologies. And well, as they were doing research about, hey, what's going on in our community, exactly of the ideas of like, you hear this in other countries, so what's going on? They decided to do research and then realized that it's something going on in our own school. So we were in the community, which is great, advocating for all these needs when we were at fault for like looking in the mirror and seeing this need and seeing legislation and seeing law of that should be implemented in our school and taking action. So it's been in the making for now 2 years, but that is at first when it called our attention that we were helping our community, which is amazing, but it was at fault at our school as well.
And have you guys ever thought about reaching out to other schools in the CVUSD district?
We have talked to other students with our collaboration, and they have also said that a lot of them are at fault or they're having like issues with the compliance. It is unfortunate, and we do understand that sometimes it's not the easiest to raise your voice and just unite in order to have these issues resolved. But that was another big motivator that we saw. It's not just going on at Coachella Valley High School, but other schools in the district as well, as we are trying to push it, especially for high schools. But this is a 6th grade through 12th grade mandate, so it's not just for high school, and it's actually something going on in middle school that should be implemented as well.
Okay, thank you for all your hard work and effort that you've put into this.
I just want to say thank you for coming and educating the board, and I, as a board member, I fully support for us to comply with the law, but do what we can to support our students. And I think this is something that, you know, we should have done a long time ago. And I know that everybody's here in the room today, but I just want to say thank you for coming forward because I know you said you contacted the board, but I hadn't heard from it. I hadn't heard about it. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, and I think you answered my question already about, is it only happening at CVUSD? I mean, at CV High School, which it's not. So my question is more for our staff. Like, who is the person that's in charge of this? How are we going to make sure that not only at CV High School, but at the other schools, including middle schools, that we're providing the menstrual products that are needed? And I mean, the timing, as they're asking, like, who's going to be responsible for putting out a timeline, and how do we make it consistent as we're going through the budget right now? I mean, this is something that we really need to have funding for, not just this year, but in, you know, outgoing years, and making sure that we're having it in the budget.
No, I mean, I had the same comment. You know, I applaud you, and I think you all did amazing today in the presentation, but I think the real question here is the call to action, right? So yeah, the question is for our staff. I'm hoping that we have at least something to respond to our students, right? There is no question of whether we'll be in compliance. We have to be in compliance. So yeah, I'd like to hear what steps we're taking and what are we doing to ensure that we're doing that across the high schools and the middle schools as well.
So we did have fits and starts in addressing the issue, especially after the law became more comprehensive. And so we began the process of identifying where some of the original dispensers were, and then the process of getting them stocked, and then became the issue for us in doing it well. But fortunately, since we have joined the expectation of responding to the need, we have been working together to identify not only the resources so that they are consistent over years, and that's the point. You identified the issue, because we can't just do it once. We have to be consistent with it. One, we have to train. We have to provide training for school staff to make sure that they're not only checked, but that they are replaced, that if there's a damage to a dispenser, that it is fixed, instead of what you've experienced, we lock the bathroom. And that's the reason why the bathroom is locked, right? And instead of doing that, why don't we provide professional development so that the students themselves don't do damage to those dispensers? So all of those things are now becoming clear to us, that all of those things have to happen together so that we don't cause that problem to continue for each of you individually. But Mayela can provide specificity, and so can Victor, who is the one working directly with this project.
Thank you. Ladies, thank you so much for your presentation. It truly was amazing and eye-opening. We have been working over the years since this started. We actually just, the dispensers were ordered. They were received today in the warehouse. We are looking at finishing full installation by March 11th. So I am the person that's responsible to make sure that that happens. And I will be responsible to make sure that it is continuing to happen daily, whatever the sites need. The training, as Dr. Valentino mentions, with the custodians, with our staff, making sure that they know how to order, how to have both. I noticed in your presentation, they had pads and not tampons. So making sure that we have everything that we need. We've all actually planned out how much we're gonna need based on sort of enrollment. As things change, we will revise our numbers, but we've included them in the work that we've been doing.
Mayela, I have a follow-up. So
Yes.
in this, the stock that you received, is it only for CV High School?
No, this is actually, we purchased for all schools.
Including middle schools?
Including middle schools, and we have, at elementary, because it includes 6th grade, we actually have them in one restroom also. Yes. And the information for next time, we'll have the details of where all of that is at.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else have any comments or questions?
The trainings that you mentioned, those are happening, they're ongoing, or what's the plan there?
Yes, so it's the follow-up to make sure that they understand how to stock the machines. Because they are on sort of mechanics, you get one at a time every so seconds, it releases them. And I believe that sometimes they don't work as well. So we're making sure that the staff, our custodial staff understands and knows how to repair them and stock them, similar to how they go in and clean the restrooms, that they are looking at that too.
In terms of, I think it was mentioned, the presentation, we also are required to put notices. Who's
Yes.
responsible for that?
So that is a conversation that we need to follow up with the principals to make sure that it's not just our custodians, our supervision, it's where, so who's kind of going to be designated to monitor it. Victor had mentioned about making sort of a unilateral sign, giving them an email, a number where they can, as I mentioned, if they can call, which is not the idea, right? But it would be important for us to know if it's happening more often in certain areas, because that'll make us, go out there and retrain our staff. So, okay.
Anybody else? Once again, I want to thank you for coming out here. You guys heard my comments earlier. Sorry, it's not that complicated. 2 years ago, I believe, 3 years ago, I can't remember when the law was being put through. It's a law. We have to comply. There's just no excuse in that point. And again, not to point fingers, but you replace the toilet paper, you replace these. You order them, you put them in, you're done with it. As far as restocking and stuff, that simply becomes a maintenance cost that's built in, just like everything else is built in. And I know they're going to have to do new lines and all that. I understand that part, but should have never gotten to this point. And again, I won't speak for the rest of the board, but our bad for not following up when we thought it had been solved and did not get solved. And again, I do apologize for that. And we need to, by next board meeting, hopefully we will have an update for everyone, where we're at, what we're doing, where we're complying. And again, I think as someone mentioned, this isn't a, how do we want to do this? This is the law. And we have to comply, period. And that's the end of that discussion. So we'll kind of leave it at that. Once again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for being persistent and making sure that we did hear you. And again, thank you for taking a Thursday evening till 10 o'clock to be out here with us to kind of remind us what our job is. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Right. Going back to which item, where were we at? 7.2, Tim Hernandez, installation of touchless wall mount chilling bottle filling stations. And this is an informational, so unless we need more information, we keep it quick. What are we waiting for? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was like.
That's okay. I thought Tim was coming.
As soon as our presentation comes up.
What's going on?
Good evening,
board members. Thank you everyone for hanging out. I'm gonna make it really short. It's a really good presentation. You gotta see it though. We will be updating our presentation. This is not the one that you're gonna find online, but we will post it as soon as we're done, or as soon as Maris helps us. So thank you. We are presenting our second interim. This is through our finances through January 31st. This is the second sort of revision of where we look at where we're at this year. We always begin with looking at where in the process are we. Right now, we're right in the middle of school. We're already planning for the next year. Our next big revision is when we get our May revision from the governor, where we're looking at planning for the following year. It's always important for us to look at this year and the following year and planning for the out year, because changes, similar to what happened to us this year with the COLA, it sort of changed everything that we were planning, whether we had a variety of projects or changes in our budget. So we always want to make sure that we look at our expenses. This is the second time where we look, what are we budgeting? Are we actually budgeting what we are spending? Do we need to make revisions? Where are we having our biggest expenditures? What's happening, and reviewing them. This is just a historical COLA. Wanted to share. The COLA from last year it was 0.76. If you look at a few years, except for that year in 10-11, it's very low. So just sharing information from what we were planning in January of 2023, a 3.94% COLA, which is actually the increase of our revenue for that specific year. We actually took a dive in 3.18. So that tells you how much our revenue changed from where we thought we were to where we actually were. So from first interim, sorry, I'm saying first interim, it's second interim, right? And nobody said anything. Thank you. Second interim. In first interim, when we finalized first interim, we had actually already planned for the 3.94. Right after that, the governor says, hey, it's a 0.76. We changed, now it's in our budget. Now we have this, which we had anticipated and said, if we make any changes to our budget, these are the things that potentially we will plan for. Just more information. In the out years, we're looking at the lottery, block grants, all of that we plan for in all of our years, including which one of our biggest increases, CalPERS, which is tied to our salaries for classified. These are the assumptions that we plan in our multi-year for all the positions that we have. For us, we've included in our packet exactly what we've used, each of the rates, how we plan out for the next years. As far as salaries increases, step in column, our district enrollment right now and our unduplicated count. Keep in mind, we get our revenue is based on our attendance. So as we've seen in the past few years, our attendance has been dropping, which we have been planning for. Oh, this is, okay. I don't know why that one's. This is our unduplicated count, our enrollment and our attendance. Again, our factors that are actually there. It's still in blue. We will change it once it's budget. If there's any changes, we just want to make sure that it's all finalized, even though we've already sort of certified. So let's see. Another view of attendance and enrollment, unduplicated count over the years. One of the conversations that has been happening with our enrollment decline statewide, many reasons why, or why there's a sort of a shift of either individuals leaving. One of the things just wanted to share, the California median home prices, how much higher they are than in other states. So, it has been mentioned that our residents are moving out to other states. Our one-time funds are coming to an end. We are making sure that we spend all of our dollars. Our ESSER dollars will come to an end September 30th. Everything has to be spent, and projects have to be done. We have a period to be able to pay them afterwards. Our arts, music, instructional material discretionary block grant, if you recall, this is partially what we paid our one-time increase last year. We have some funds left for this year to spend, which we are planning on spending. Our learning block grant, making a plan as to how we're spending it. So all of these one-time dollars are on our site So one-time dollars for one-time expenses. This is a view of our general fund revenue. Our biggest piece is our LCFF supplemental concentration dollars, federal and state, our transfers to other resources. This is just a trend. You'll see what the increase from one year to another in our expenses and the different classifications, books, benefits, certificated salaries, just a different view of how we look. This is our general fund revenue and expense trend together for the multi-years change over prior year. You see that 23-24 this year, we have a peak both in expenditures and revenue. Then they come down. We're losing all of our one-time revenue. So we're coming down to what we are actually receiving just for attendance. So this is both restricted and unrestricted dollars. Our unrestricted dollars, we split it out so that you could see what is our department site discretionary amount of our total amount in unrestricted. Restricted dollars are specific purpose. This is really where we pay most of our salaries. It's part of the LCAP, even though it is a restricted resource and how we have to spend it, it is in the unrestricted revenue. Our transportation, lottery, our EPA, and our general fund is actually part of the same. It's just the way we identify it because the state says you have to identify it as EPA in a different resource, but you only pay certain salaries, which are our teacher salaries. Our general fund revenue for this year, our budget adjustments, this is a list we provide by resource as to what's happening in this point in time for second interim. Did we receive additional funds? Are we expecting to receive? Was there an increase? Anything that we know so far, we will make that adjustment in those resources. And these are the different amounts. Similar to our expenditures by resource, the changes that we're making, what we made in our general fund, they are detailed out by resource. And this is our multi-year projection from 23-24 and ongoing with all of the adjustments that are listed before. This tells us how much we're spending, how much we're receiving, and that we need to have a 3% reserve set aside every single year based on all the expenses that we've had so far, the revenue that we will be spending. In our third year, we're not meeting our 3%, which means that we have some changes to make, work to do, which we have already started. We had already anticipated us spending a lot more than we had planned for originally, as I mentioned, with the COLA change that we had just before first interim. We had to make a lot of changes. So we have already begun to look at all of our budgets and making adjustments to make sure that we are okay for the next 2 years. This is part of our budget stabilization plan, which we are working with the county to make sure that they know that we are doing what we need to do. And we started as of this year. So this year, some of our one-time amounts that we have set aside, carryover or projects that we have frozen them to pay for everything that we've done throughout the year and our ongoing years. Keep in mind that it's not just about this year that we need to make sure that we have our 3%, but it's in the ongoing years. So the work that we do now impacts every year from here on. What are we thinking at this point? Second interim, what's gonna happen with the state, our LCFF, make sure that we are projecting and planning for our enrollment decline. We're hopeful that we have increased enrollment or, in our attendance to make sure that we're doing all of what we need to do. Our Saturday school, just keeping the kids in class every day helps our attendance. So monitoring every day, every reporting period, talking to, I know Diana is working with Carmina to make sure that they're looking at by school site, that we are reaching out to students as to what's happening in their areas. Our next steps, we continue to review our budget. We are looking to maximizing our one-time expenditures. Want to make sure that our projects, our big projects and ESSER are being done and planning for how we're gonna end. So for budget, we will bring back estimated actuals, which is an estimate of how we're gonna end this year. It's still not closed until unaudited actuals. Once we bring that in September, then we're done. This is how we finalize the year. But for budget planning, we do estimate. So we will have a lot of conversations throughout the district with our departments and school sites to make sure that they are spending their dollars and that we do reflect them in our budget. Governor may revise. Hopefully he has, better news than we are anticipating. However, we are planning the factors that they had given us. So for next time, we will be back to present the 24-25 proposed budget. Any questions? I told you I was gonna be fast.
So with the bar graphs that you presented to us,
Yes.
were those interim to interim, budget to budget, or
They're
unaudited
budget.
actuals, or what were those?
No, budget to budget, because right now we're looking at budget. It's not actuals. Well,
Right,
the
definitely
prior
not
years are actuals, yeah. Prior years
Okay.
are actuals, but right now, because if we're looking from 21-22 to 22-23, those are actuals.
Okay.
And then from last year to this year would be our budget. So it's the change of what we had from what we were budgeting this year from what we actually had last year.
Right. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Sorry, should have added that on the slide.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question? Anybody else have a question? Nope. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys, let's roll this out. 9.1, Principal Sotelo requesting approval of purchase with Johnston's Company for Desmirage High School student academic regulations.
So moved.
A
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Gutierrez requesting approval of Spanish World Language adoption materials for 7 to 12 grade.
So moved.
Motion. Your second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Gutierrez requesting approval of purchase with Right Brain World for Authors kits for the Migrant Summer Program. Their motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 9.4, Dr. Esparza requesting approval of Title I Equitable Service Plan for Xavier College Prep High School to include instructional services, staff professional development, and parent engagement. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
A second.
And a second. Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, item 10.1. So Salo, approval of the fiscal year 2023-2024 second interim report and multi-year projections. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Yeah, I have a question.
I'm sorry.
So has a stabilization plan been uploaded for the public?
So in the presentation, we actually have the details of what that is, and that will be sent to the county, which they will be tying it by our funding line, which we will provide to them. So
I'm
yes.
saying within the agenda, because
We
it
will,
does.
yes.
Okay,
Yes,
that's
we
my
will.
question.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 10.2, Mr. Lambatia, approved resolution number 2024-21, California Multiple Award Schedules, CMAS, with Waxy Enterprise LLC Product Solutions. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 10.3, Mr. Vice, requesting approval to travel out of state for the International Security Conference and Exposition in Las Vegas, Nevada, April 9th through the 11th.
So
Do I hear a
moved.
motion?
I'll second.
Second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 10.4, Mr. Marroquin, sorry. Approval of RFP number 105-2024 for auditing services and approval to award contract for 3-year auditing service agreements with Andy Bailey LLP, Rancho Cucamonga, California. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions?
Do we typically add the rankings here, like how they each scored, or I was just curious about the scoring?
No, well, we have just the name and the amount, and I believe we did it this year. We can share it. I'll bring it back as a consent and add that, because we did have other where they scored them. So, yeah, what we don't is the, I believe the amounts that each of them. So, yeah, so I'll bring it back.
So what are we doing?
Good. Right, any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Item 11.1, Mr. Cloud, approval of resolution number 2024-22 regarding reduction or discontinuance of particular kinds of services deviating from the seniority order and establishment of tie-breaking criteria. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions?
Have a comment.
Huh?
Comment.
Go ahead.
So according to my calculations, there are 49 educators that should be allowed skipping rates. And the way that we are doing this right now, or the way it's outlined and the way we're explained, it sounds like our process is still very convoluted. I think our approach could have been more targeted. We could have disrupted less educators had we had a more targeted approach. So that is my comment about this. I do understand that it's necessary to have the RIFs, the 71 that we are proposing, but the way that we're going to roll this out is what I have an issue with. That's my comment.
Okay, anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Mr. Tabor?
I'm not in favor.
Motion carries 4-2. Item 11.2, Ms. McLeod, approval of memorandum of understanding between CVUSD and California School Employees Association and its Chapter 109 CSCA regarding revisions to the safety supervisor job description.
So
Hear a
moved.
motion? Second?
Second.
Anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 11.3, Ms. McLeod, approval of MOU between CVUSD and Coachella Valley Teachers Association regarding employment incentive for 2024-2025 school year. I hear a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 11.4, McLeod, approval of revised job description for Director of Community Schools. Do I hear a motion?
I motion to table this item.
Huh?
I motion to table this item.
All right, I got a motion. Do I hear a second? You have a motion to what?
I motion to table this item.
Okay, do you have a second?
Second.
You have a motion and a second to table. Any particular reason or just?
Yeah, I mean, so my concern with this item is that I always believe that directors should have somewhat of an education. And I feel that this job description here, it could be open to anybody, right? And we're an educational institution, and I've said this over and over again, that I believe that we should be looking for people that have gone on an education. And I will say that we always talk about giving people an opportunity, but we need to, if for a director position that makes over 150,000, people should be allowed. I mean, we should look at people who have gone on and furthered their education. And we put it out there for 2 weeks, but yet we have subs that have been filling into our classrooms and we still can't find it. So the issue of we can't find anybody, well, let's put it back out there and let's do that recruitment.
I have a question, if it's okay, because I'm in total agreement with you, but I don't know what tabling does versus motion to deny.
Well, I'll change my motion.
But I'm just curious.
Motion to deny.
Well, we already have a motion and a second. Do you withdraw your second?
Yes.
Do you withdraw your motion?
Yes.
So then we're starting all over. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to deny 11.4.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second.
I have
Motion
a
and a second.
question.
Anybody have any comments or questions on this?
I have a question. Do we, this is a director position for community schools. Do we need I'm assuming we'll be out of compliance and we don't have a director by a certain time. Like, what's the timeline? Do we have to do this?
We've had the grant and we may lose the grant if we don't hire somebody soon. So at least before the end of the school year, because the grant has been in place for a while now. And it is for us to be able to hire somebody to start the process. What West Shores didn't talk about is they've already started the process without a director, and they need support and guidance because there's lots of state meetings that they need to attend via Zoom and bring back the information. We had B. Gonzalez and Marie Parati supporting with that, but it's just way too many meetings for everybody to be on that team.
How long was the position posted, or may someone speak to the hiring challenges or why it is that we're recommending a change of the requirements?
This is a classified position. It was posted for 3 weeks and we didn't have any of the candidates that met all the requirements. So, we brought it back to see if we could maybe ask for, they have 4 years of experience with, working in a community environment, and then they would also be working towards their AA or their bachelor's degree. But I believe the recommendation is you're looking for a bachelor's?
At minimum.
At minimum, I think I'm okay with a bachelor's, right? It doesn't have to be a master's degree, right? But for me, a minimum of a bachelor's degree is what I'm looking for. And, and in our community, we speak to all the students that come back and don't have a job. And for me to say that somebody without a degree is going to do a better job in this position, I just believe in education, and I believe that's somewhat of an education, right? And I think that we should at least push for that.
Well, and so much interfacing. This job requires so much interfacing with the state, with our community, with stakeholders as a whole, including us, right? So I don't want to set anybody up for failure. This is a very important grant. If we haven't put our ducks in a row for that, maybe we're not prepared. So
That's why we're asking for 4 years, because somebody who's worked at a community-based organization, we had it for 3. If they're there at least 4 years, that shows that they've had, a commitment to the organization and that they're at a leadership level in the organization. And then they could be working towards their bachelor's degree. We were hoping to have somebody with a bachelor's degree, but we really didn't get anybody that
My motion
qualified.
stands.
Yeah. Did nobody apply or nobody that you liked?
They didn't have the qualifications.
They
Yeah,
meant
Yeah,
that
they
they
didn't-
had a bachelor's but didn't meet everything
No,
else,
they
or what do you mean?
didn't have a bachelor's. Some of them, they marked that they had a bachelor's, they didn't have a bachelor's, they didn't turn them in, they didn't have letters of recommendation, they didn't have consistency in their employment. So you go through the whole screening process like any organization that anyone else works at.
Yeah,
And so we
because-
went through the process and we couldn't find anybody.
Yeah, I know there's a bunch of people who are job hunting, young professionals who are young professionals, right? 3-4 years out of college that have been in their out of college job for 2 years now, 3 years now, and are looking for a jump, right? And I think this can be a good avenue. Go ahead.
Do
Anybody
folks
else?
want to propose a change in language to keep it as a bachelor's? and-
Well, the motion right now is simply to deny it. We'll have to bring it back or discuss it, do it later, but that's
Alright.
the motion at the table. Anybody else?
The motion to deny means that it stays the same, right?
No, it means that we just.
We have to bring it
say no.
back?
Well, that we
No, it
don't
says-
agree with this job description, but the other job description we had already approved.
Right, the old
So we are
one.
not
Correct.
undoing the other one, right? We're undoing
Right,
this one
correctly.
that
So
you're
we are denying
presenting
this one to go back to the
to
original.
the original.
Right,
the
okay.
original.
Yeah.
Call the question.
So, anything else?
No, call the question.
So for me, a couple of things. And just to clarify the comment that the president of the teachers union made, I never said that I had friends and family. I said there are plenty of people in the district today that would make great director for that program, and that they do not have the degree. That's the statement I made. I think I'm going to have to start recording my conversations from now on, so they don't kind of get added up with a bunch of other crap. But again, I stand by that. I'm sorry, with all due respect, and I value education as much as anyone, but someone who's worked in a nonprofit for 4 years is going to be much highly qualified than someone who simply has a degree. And that's just a fact. They got a degree in what? Is it a degree in this particular thing? Or did they get a degree in music? Did they get a degree in other things? And I'm not devaluing the education. What I'm saying is there are plenty of people who have not gotten to that level, but are doing great work. Especially, this is a different type of program. You want to talk about setting someone up for failure? You get somebody, with all due respect, just got out of college who has never had a position of leadership, and now suddenly you're going to want them to lead a new school? That's not going to happen. And so again, I will defend my position that there's people in our community right now today working for our districts that would be great at this job. Given the opportunity, I believe they would excel, and given the opportunity to tell them that they would need to get a degree within a certain time, I believe they would do that. So I stand by that, and that is what I said. I never said anything about family and friends, which is a bunch of crap. But I do stand by that. And again, I value in education as well, but there are certain positions that if you're talking about experience or you're talking about someone who has a degree, and I'm sorry, experience to me, proven experience to me should win all the time, but that's just my own personal opinion. So the motion stands. If there's nothing else, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Motion carries 5-1. So in essence, we're going back to the original one. We put it back out and see who we find.
Okay.
All right. Consent calendar. All matters under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be acted upon in one motion. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the time the board considers the motion, unless members of the board or staff request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar, in which event the items will be considered separately. The superintendent, assistant superintendent of educational service, assistant superintendent of business and finance, and assistant superintendent of human resources recommend the approval of all consent calendar items. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second, but I want to pull an item.
Okay, I already know which one you want to pull, but go ahead and give me the number anyway.
14.12.
14.12. Okay, anything else you want to pull? We're all good? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 14.12, floor is yours, Mr. Arredondo.
Yeah, I always, this is who I am, and making sure that we're doing things that I believe are correct, and we're being transparent in what the work that we're doing. So when we look at this item, right, this does have a significant increase, and I know that for many years this department has done whatever they want, and that's okay, but it doesn't mean I have to vote for it.
That they've done whatever they want.
So
You have, just a
well,
question.
well, let me finish my statement. So I cannot support that. I would like more information on that item. I have stated in the past what I would want, so we can take a vote on it, but I don't agree with that item.
So, just real quickly, I respect the fact that you want more information, but when you throw out there that they do what they want, that's just basically what the president of teachers union did to me, just kind of threw crap out there.
Well,
if you have any evidence, bring it. I would be the first one to look into it.
Mr. Acuna, when I met with you,
The fact that you want more information, and that's great. I've always said that is fine.
when I met with you, I told you what I would want to see. You know exactly what I want to see, and this is the fourth time that I have to pull this item when information given could have been best provided for us. So,
and again, I respect that fact. It's just the comments before that you always tend to make.
well, this is the fourth time that I pull an item for expanded learning, and if I have to keep asking you for the way I want to see things, and I'm not getting what I want to see,
Me,
well, I'm asking staff. So that's what I want. So that's when I make that statement, is because this is the fourth time I have to pull an item.
I want a motion that we bring this back with the justifications and the details as to, the amount, because it is a big increase. So that's my motion.
I'll second.
Can I make a comment?
We have a motion and a second to bring it back in exactly, and just go back to the point, exactly what information would you like?
Well, how are we
Can I-
justifying the increase 596,000? I don't know exactly what positions. Do we have already the contractors? Are we going to go and look for contractors to be able to fill and make this expense a timeline?
Yeah. I think what I'm reading here is this increase will cover us from now to the end of the year, right? From now to June?
Yeah, March, May,
So,
June.
Dr. Esparza, I want to hear from you.
So this is for 140 contracted employees from Sunrise, from the after-school program, and going into preparing for summer. And the increase is for the rest of the year for them to be able to get paid. So if this item isn't approved, unfortunately, some people are not going to get paid, and we can bring it back. But again, there are some employees who are running out of hours, and we need to also start preparing for summer school.
Can you repeat you said 140?
140 contracted employees.
Well, but it says here, additional hours and instructors. So this would have been very helpful to know, well, what
Yes.
are the additional hours that we need versus what are the number of new instructors that we're gonna need and how that divides? Because it is unfortunate that you're telling me right now
Right.
that our decision, if that were the decision, to not approve is gonna leave people unpaid because we haven't been given any adequate information to make that choice, right?
And we apologize for that. We do apologize
And it
for
was
that.
requested earlier in the week is the thing. It's not like it was requested today. I had questions earlier this week. Yeah.
That information we did provide that information, so.
Not to me.
We received questions and then we provided the responses. We apologize and we will do better, my staff here, on writing the board items to make sure they have all the details.
And this is the thing, I mean, we understand that this programming is important, but we just talked about a stabilization plan. We are going to give RIFs. We just asked people to retire early. This is something that matters. We need to know exactly what we're doing every time.
Right, and these are grants, these are not connected to that.
Right, but it's still an encompassing factor of our district as
And
a
that's why
whole.
we'll write the descriptions with more detail.
In the future.
You got it.
Can I withdraw my second? I can withdraw my motion a second.
I think I seconded it, or did you motion?
I motion.
I seconded it.
So there's a motion and a second on the floor.
I mean, if I could motion that people should get paid, right? But if not, my motion stands. We got to do things correctly.
Yeah, I do feel people need to get paid what people need to be paid, but I think the way I was reading this is additional hours and additional instructors. So that, when you say if we don't approve this, people have already been given the additional hours?
Yes.
And were they given the additional hours before fixing this? How did we get here? I don't know. It just raises more questions for me that I don't want to go there.
Well, and to me, if we don't pass it, then they shouldn't have it. Well, you heard me before, if it doesn't pass, you shouldn't be giving people hours that they don't have. So that-
Right.
that I would follow that as well. So, but the motion stands. Anybody else have any more comments? We have a motion to deny?
Well, the motion is to
Bring
bring it back with the details so
Bring it
that
back
we
with
can
the
make
details.
an informed
My
decision.
comment is that we should be consistent in providing the details, because I think for me, that does, matter, right, people. I'd hate to delay the work, because, I mean, the turnaround to submit documents and things like that, I'm familiar with processes like that, and so I hate to do that. So, but yeah.
Okay, we have a motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion
I don't know how it is.
three to three, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Motion dies because it needs 4.
For the lack of the four.
Motion to accept, motion to pass 14.12, to approve 14.12?
We're just gonna go the other way. It's gonna be the same. Oh, well, we'll do it anyway. I'll go ahead and second that. I don't think we need any more discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
So we're 3 to 3, so basically just.
Dies again?
Go ahead.
It
Has to have 4. It has to have 4, so motion would die. So basically, it just does not get approved.
It goes again.
To your point, it won't get approved anyway.
So I don't know who wants to make the motion again to bring it back.
We don't have to.
No, we
right?
don't have to bring it back. It's gonna have to come back by itself. It won't be available time.
Well, I'd just like to make a motion to bring it back with more detailed, just to have it on the record.
Yeah, because I think if it
Yes.
dies, I don't want to be like, oh, and I've heard it different ways in my time being here. Sometimes when it dies, it's like, well, no, it just died and it never
Yeah.
comes back. So I agree with that motion and I'll second it.
Well, technically it dies and they bring it back under a new version. Basically, it's how it's supposed to happen. I'm not saying that's how it always happens. I'm saying that's how it's supposed to happen.
Yeah. Well, for the record and for purpose of making sure, there's a motion.
And a second. I
A
second.
motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Motion carries 5-1. Okay, anything else? We have no to go back into closed session unless you guys want to go argue some more? No?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We are gone at 10. I don't even know what it is. 10:34.